randomly.
It's on. We're live.
Hey!
Hey!
Jamie's just joined
there's
last
the
minute.
noise again.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey!
Perfect timing, Jamie. We're live. Immediately when you join us.
All right, so welcome to Feelings with the Geekiary, the third annual Star Wars holiday special. I am Tara, along with my fellow host Vaughn, and our special Geekiary guests, Angel, Jamie, and Bekah. I think Khai was supposed to join us, but she's not here yet. We're fans. We have a lot of Star Wars feelings, and this is where we're webcasting about them.
Friendly reminder that this is also a podcast, so please subscribe to us on iTunes so you don't miss any of our feelings. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, please remember that this is recorded live. So we're not exactly sure what's going to happen, so please forgive us any technical difficulties or what we call accidental swears. You can join the conversation using the hashtag GeekiaryFeelings. Come on, how will we know we're wrong if you don't tell us?
All right, so we'd like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of the hosts as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary or the webcast itself as a whole. Additionally, this is a webcast entirely about The Last Jedi. It is going to be very spoiler heavy, so if you have not seen Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi, turn back now. Otherwise, you are watching at your own risk, and I don't want to hear any whining from you about spoilers. So, anyway, so like I said earlier, it's me and Vaughn, and we're kind of the usual feelings hosts. Bekah also has been on our Bitching Dead webcast that started this fall. But we also have Angel and Jamie with us, and they have been on past Feelings episodes, but it's been a while. So, do you guys want to introduce yourselves, or?
Hi. So yeah, it has been a while. In fact, it's been so long that I've been very confused about how Google Hangouts works. So I'm having technical difficulties, but I'm figuring it out again. Yay! Oh, I'm also the admin of the website.
Hi.
By the way.
I think the last one I was on was probably the Comic-Con one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's been like 5 months.
And we
Hey,
didn't have to
everybody.
do anything technical.
We did not. We just had to sit there.
Bekah?
Yes, I'm Bekah. Hello. I do the Bitching Dead, which is over. Unfortunately, I did miss the last one because I was in a car wreck.
It's only over until like late January or early February. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me. Anyway, but I've been on the Geekiary. I think the last one was.
You're on the
Was it
November
Dragon
one.
Con? Yeah, it's the November one.
The November one.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so first things first, admin stuff. We've got a bunch of Star Wars coverage on the website, thegeekiary.com, including the lovely Tara's review of The Last Jedi, which is great and totally on point, so you should definitely read that. After you've watched this, of course, stick here and then go to the website.
I mean, honestly, my review, it's like, Stephanie and I kind of went back and forth about this. It is very much like this just giant conglomeration of bits and pieces of how I felt about things, and not at all a comprehensive review, because if it was comprehensive, it would have been like 18,000 words long.
We have a lot of thoughts, I think. That's a pretty clear thing. We've got so many thoughts. So the first thing that we've got to talk about is the box office, which I guess is an indication of how well this movie is doing, which is exceptionally well because it's a Star Wars movie. But it's, I think it's got the second biggest box office opening of a movie ever, which is just behind The Force Awakens. So, it's doing really, really well. And we've lost Bekah.
Did you like fall off the bed or something?
No, it's like perched. No, Phasma fell. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
All right, so what do you guys think of the box office number? Like the fact that it's done so well. Are you surprised, or is it just like no duh?
No duh.
Yeah. This seems about right, especially since it's coming in second to The Force Awakens, because The Force Awakens was the first one in a long time, so of course that one was going to be first, and this one coming in second makes sense. That is expected.
I mean, it's not surprising. It's Star Wars. It's probably the biggest name in movies. I mean, you know, there are some massive franchises around, but Star Wars is probably the most significant. So, I mean, I think that, you know, it's not really an indication of how good this movie is. I mean, I think this movie is amazing, but I don't think the opening weekend box office of a movie like Star Wars is particularly indicative of it being an excellent movie. Because people
I agree. I mean, I'll give it a couple more weeks and see if the numbers drop off significantly from previous, like from Force Awakens, and then we'll see if what people think of the quality is affecting it at all. Oh, that noise is driving me crazy.
What is that noise?
Okay, we've got a bit of technical difficulty. So what we're going to do is, how about when we're not speaking, everyone just mute their thing, and then when we speak, we'll unmute. Okay, and that should at least prevent it for a little while. Okay, so box office, we've got nothing, you know. But the other thing that's written under here is, will the polarizing fan reaction affect future box office? I've just written nah underneath that because I don't think it will at all. But I'm open to other opinions.
I mean, I think if it does, it will be insignificant. You know what I mean? Like one dude, because it's literally all dudes complaining about this movie, at least on my friend list. One dude complaining about this movie is not going to keep more than like one or two of his friends from seeing it. At least, and even that, I think it would only be people who are like meh about Star Wars, who were on the fence about seeing it in theaters anyway. So yeah, I don't foresee there being any sort of noticeable difference.
I mean, I think the only reason it might be affected, what was that mean? Is because of anybody that might not go again. Like, because I think for The Force Awakens, a lot of people saw it more than once. And I think there will be maybe less people that see it again, as opposed to. So, but I don't think it'll affect it that badly.
Hey, fair.
I mean, and oh, sorry, go ahead, Vaughn.
No, I mean, I think that's probably the only reason. But I also think that it's a really small minority of guys who are super Star Wars fans who are the ones that are annoyed by this. Like, I mean, it seems like a lot because they're online and they're being very loud, but we all know that online communities can be very loud when they're very small. So I'm not worried about this actually affecting. I mean, if anything, it will make more people see it because they'll be curious about the polarizing viewpoints on it, and they'll want to know for themselves whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I like for me, I kind of like, I agree with Jamie. There may be people who won't see it as many times, but I honestly think that was going to happen anyway. Because like people who saw The Force Awakens 2 or 3 or 4 times in theaters, like a lot of people, including myself, did that because it was the first Star Wars movie that had been in a theater in forever. You know, I saw Rogue One twice. I'll probably see this one twice when it's all said and done. And I just don't. Like I said, if there's any sort of effect, it won't be anything like visible in the numbers.
To me, it seems almost, and this sounds almost conspiracy theory-like, but it almost seems coordinated with a little tiny group of people wanting to be really loud all at once. Because as soon as I got home from the showing I saw, which was opening night, I checked the Twitter hashtag, and it was like all the upset people posted at the same time, and like they wanted to be heard and like take over the tag and be really angry. And then all of a sudden, the like ratings dropped dramatically on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like, suddenly, now that people have had time to see it over the weekend, things have balanced out a little bit and people are happy with it again. And it's like just those first people were suddenly very angry. And now people, like the happy people, are suddenly being heard. And so I don't know what happened that opening night, but like it was just very sudden anger, just that one opening night. And suddenly, I don't know, things are balancing out over the weekend, I think.
Well, the fanboys all saw it at the midnight screening, and then they were annoyed, and they went online, and they were like, I disagree with the critics because they're all wrong, obviously. So I'm going to go and create a Rotten Tomatoes account and trash this movie because it's not about me.
They were talking about critics being bought off, and I'm like, no. Like,
I mean, see, I think that there's definitely, like, especially with Disney's growing monopoly on and the movies that we love, there is definitely a risk of like Disney manipulating reviews with like promised access and refusal of access, which they have done, like they recently. So that's definitely a thing, but I don't think it was in this case because this was a genuinely good movie. And I mean, you can get like maybe the major outlets and stuff to write a good review, but to have it consistently get to like 91%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes, without like, that would be a very coordinated conspiracy that I just don't think would be worth Disney's time.
Yeah, especially for something like Star Wars, because Disney knows that people are going to go see it anyway.
Yeah.
So they don't need the good reviews to go see it. They were going to go see it anyway. So I think if they were going to do something like that, they wouldn't waste the effort on Star Wars.
That's what I was gonna say. I just don't. What was it? Because I remember the story recently about them, like, you know, basically trying to buy people, whatever. That's not really the right term. Offering kind of access to people in exchange for good reviews, or like threatening to take it away for bad reviews. But I don't remember that it was anything like that. It was a franchise like this, or even like Marvel. You know what I mean? It was some other kind of. It was some Disney property. I just don't. Whatever it was wasn't that important.
I think it was like LA Weekly, and they were they had reported on like employee practices at the Disney parks.
Yeah,
and they lost their access to Disney movies.
Yeah, which is like, y'all, I worked for Disney. It fucking sucks. Like, it's not a great company to work for.
I don't think you should be saying that. I mean, Disney. Sorry, but
yeah, yeah, like.
And there goes our access.
That happened to me when I worked. Yeah, there were things that happened to me when I worked there that they could be like in a lot of trouble for, and things that happen to coworkers. So like, but that's the thing, because they know that it's crappy. They do the same thing here in Orlando. You know what I mean? But like, they don't need to do that for something like this. They really just don't. So, I mean, Star Wars. Everybody's gonna go see it, whether or not it gets like stupid critic or like bad critic reviews. I don't fucking pay attention to critic reviews. I'm not saying they're wrong. I just don't pay attention to them.
Fair. I mean, I think that it wouldn't, like, a bad critic. I mean, like things like Justice League and stuff and Batman vs Superman do still get heaps of money, and they're the worst movies ever.
Yep.
So, okay, so speaking of like people just going to see this movie, when did you guys see this movie for the first time? Like, did you go to midnight screenings or early screenings, or?
I worked nights last week, so I saw it at like 10:30 in the morning, and then I had to go to work. Yay! but it was. I mean, and I did a regular one. I didn't do 3D or IMAX or anything like that, but it was still full at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I saw it 10:20 p.m. on Friday night. I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, because my grandparents are. And my cousin bought tickets for us like a month in advance, and he's like, "We're going to go see the IMAX 3D," and I was like, "No, I hate IMAX so much." And I went and saw it, and the theater was just full because they actually had to assign seats, like it was so full still. And they had like all the barriers still set up, you know, from the premiere. And no, it was pretty full. And then I saw it again today, actually. And the theater wasn't full, but it was, I mean, you know, it's a Sunday. People are getting ready for Christmas. It was decent size-ish. But our Christmas tradition has been to go see Star Wars movies the past couple years on Christmas Day. So that'll be the third time I've gone to see it, I think, if we go on Christmas.
So my first time seeing it was on opening night. I saw the 6 p.m. showing, and then I went and saw it again. Well, the first one I saw was the big, like, I think it's called a Titan screen, which is like, I don't know what it is. It's like the rival to IMAX. I don't know. And then I went and saw it yesterday morning at like a regular screen, which was like the size of a television set. It was kind of weird, but even that was pretty like packed. Like there was a couple of empty seats in my aisle, but still like, oh, my cat's crying. I'm sorry for the interruption on that, but see, he's excited too about the film. Um, anyway, even that was pretty cool, and I'm hoping to see it again at some point this week.
I saw a midnight screening because that is actually the first screening here in Australia.
I was going to say
it was on Wednesday at Thursday morning at midnight, and it was amazing. I love it. I've been to the midnight screenings like since Phantom Menace. I've been going to midnight screenings for Star Wars, so it's kind of like a big thing for me. And I always love the atmosphere like of the midnight screening and being in that cinema, and there's always people cheering and gasping and yelling and having a really good time. So it's always such a really joyous way to watch Star Wars for the first time, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say the midnight screening thing, like I miss it, but I'm also I miss it, but I'm also old, so I'm glad that they don't exist anymore and that I can go see the first showing at 7 p.m. because midnight, like staying up till midnight to watch a movie, like I don't even do that on the weekends, let alone on a weeknight. But I went to see the 7 o'clock. Like we could have gotten tickets to the big 6 o'clock one, but I didn't want to sit in a theater for an hour and watch stuff just for like some free baseball cards, and it also costs like an extra $20 or I was like, it's not my thing. But I had a bunch of friends who went, and I was like, dang, now I'm jealous of all those cards you got. But yeah, Stephanie, I was gonna say I've never heard of Titan, but I'm guessing, yeah, it's exactly what you said it was. It's like a rival to IMAX because IMAX is like a brand. So the screen that I saw it on was legitimately an IMAX size screen, but they can't call it that. Because it's not, IMAX didn't pay to put IMAX's name on it or vice versa. But yeah, I don't like 3D. It gives me headaches. It's probably has something to do with how bad my eyesight is. But so I didn't have 3D or anything, but we had like the reclining chairs that also like rumble, and it was assigned seats. And that's really all I care about is like giant screen, good sound, and an assigned seat, preferably one that allows me to put up my feet. So it was very comfortable. And I only saw it once so far because it's my birthday this past week, so it's been like one thing after another the past like 5 days. But I'm probably going to see it again on Christmas Eve with my nieces and nephews if Regal Cinemas gets their shit together and actually puts showtimes on their website.
So yeah, I saw the one where you got the free stuff. I got a free popcorn bucket and the trading cards. And then some theaters you got this free cup, which I didn't get. But then I went and saw it again and bought this cup and made a bad financial decision and spent $8 on this stupid cup. Also, I want to apologize because now not only do I have a crying cat, but I have a barking dog outside my window. So I'm in a very noisy spot right now, so I'm going to go right back on mute once I'm done with this sentence. Muting.
All right, so I think we should probably jump into an actual discussion of Star Wars. And I am very happy that the first thing that is written here about The Last Jedi is just all caps, I miss Carrie Fisher, which is pretty much the first feeling that you have when you watch this movie. And it sort of keeps coming back throughout it. And then right at the end, you start crying because you're like, wow, I really miss Carrie Fisher. So yeah, I think that's the best way to start it. So guys,
I had to literally go through the entire movie pretending like she was still alive. Like I had to keep telling myself, don't think about the fact that she has passed away, because if I had not kept telling myself that and just focused on the fact that like she is in this movie, this is what I'm seeing right now. So like she's sort of still alive at this moment. Like if I had not kept focusing on that, I would have been like a blubbering mess. And I forgot to bring Kleenex, which was like, it didn't matter in the end because I shed a single tear when Luke was, holding her hands and said like, no one ever really leaves us. And I was like, oh, now I'm doing it again. All right, that's it. That's all I'm saying.
You guys, Bekah, what are you feelings about Carrie Fisher and the loss of her and experiencing this without her?
Like I knew going into it, I was like, oh God, I was like, Tara, I was like, it's gonna hurt. Whenever she was, because like I had just read about how they brought Carrie Fisher's dog, to the show to see the movie, and every time she was on screen, he would perk up, and like that was I'm doing it too. No, Tara. But I had when I was watching it, and I guess this will kind of tie into later, but the first time that she, gets sucked out of the thing, like I was sobbing, big, fat, ugly tears just rolling down my face. And my cousin and my brother with me, they'd already seen it, and they were like, and like I was like, no, you don't understand. This is like experiencing her loss again, and it was really hard. And I just was like, I was inconsolable, to be honest. I know that's stupid that, the Leia is just a fictional character, but it was, like watching Night at the Museum when Teddy Roosevelt, kind of goes back to, sorry, I'm so sorry. It goes back to, being quiet again. It was just like experiencing that again. And it was really hard, but it was really beautiful. Like Leia's so amazing. And it was, yeah. Okay, somebody else talk now.
I don't think that is weird at all. I think that is a perfectly reasonable reaction to have. I mean, I think that we all experience something similar, even if we weren't like physically in tears, like the inside of us was crying. Jamie?
I'm glad that that Leia was such an important character in this movie. I really think that was a good way a good send off for Carrie, that Leia, like, really, because I mean, she's Luke's sister, she's Anakin's daughter, and we never really got to see her use the Force the way that either of them did, and so I'm really glad that they did that in this movie, and that we got to see that. So, and now I'm tearing up, but it's okay.
Yeah, so not only is my cat crying, but now I'm crying too. So this entire room is just tears all over the place. But yeah, like I kind of like Tara, I had to go through the film not thinking about that, because I knew it was going to be emotional, but at the same time I wanted to experience the movie for what it was and not think about it just as this is like Carrie's last film. This is Carrie's last film. Like, I didn't want that to dominate my thoughts, because for some reason, like, I'm thinking she would want people to enjoy the film instead of just thinking constantly like that one thought. And so, like, I tried not to, but during particularly the scene where the bridge of the ship gets bombed, like, it's really hard to not think about that. So yeah, when I looked around during that scene, I don't think there was like a dry eye like anywhere within sight opening night. So it was pretty damn emotional.
Yeah, I didn't cry during that scene, but only because they, at least maybe not quickly enough, but fast, they in a fairly timely manner, they had her like force pushing or pulling herself back into the ship. And if they my only concern about that scene was, oh my God, is this really how they are killing her? Like, I was pretty sure she was going to live through this film. Maybe I'm wrong, but is this really how she's going to go out? Please no. Please God, no. So.
Yeah, because if it was, I felt like it was very not a good way to close her storyline. And then it wasn't the way they closed it. So I was grateful for that. But at the same time, I thought, like, oh shit, like maybe they had, like, I thought they said they weren't going to have to change things, but did they? Like, did they have to do this? And then they wrap things up. But for a moment there, I thought, well, this is it. Like, and yeah, I was messed up.
That was one of, like, I mean, that bit and like sort of encompasses what I felt throughout this whole movie was an actual genuine sense of fear for every single one of these characters. Like, normally when you go into these movies, I was like, you're pretty sure that everyone's going to survive. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure all these people are going to make it through the end. With this movie, I was like, I was pretty sure, but I was also like, they could kill any of these characters, at any point. And I would like, and so it brought a genuine sense of like that made it so much more shocking and so much more harder. Like I was watching that scene and I was like, is this how she dies? Is this it? Like I didn't think she was going to die, but I wouldn't have been surprised if she had. So it was like such a, like, it was exhilarating in a way. Like it was horrifying and it was really upsetting, but it was also like, oh my God, I'm genuinely worried about these characters, which never happens in contemporary movies.
Yeah, I agree. That one thing that I took away from this movie was that it's like, and I think that was the point, was that they wanted to give you the sense of, you know, you think you know how it's going to end, but you're probably wrong. And I think we have this slated down to talk a bit later, but the scene when Kylo and Rey are fighting, I was genuinely worried for them, because ordinarily, like, the people that they fight are like stormtroopers that never ever hit anybody, and they were fighting actual people that could actually fight. Like, so I was legitimately worried that something was going to happen to them. So
Yeah,
I don't really necessarily care about Kylo, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's the only time I've actually felt like a twinge of like, oh no, is something bad gonna happen to Kylo? Because like I just don't like him at all, like at all.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah. I mean, I think
but I agree. Like it should be like in that scene, because of everything that happened like previously. I really did. I mean, and honestly, shoot, even with like the Luke stuff later, it was the same thing. So
yeah. So Bekah, you've got a theory about Leia. We love a good fan theory, so let's shoot. Go for it.
All right. So and I was kind of, because we were kind of like trying to like refine it down last night. I think when we were talking about it, I know me and Steph were, because Steph was like, tell me, and I was like, yes. So because like in the past movies, you know, Leia said something like, you know, I have the Force. My father had the Force. My brother has the Force. And she was like, Han, like, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, we're like, oh shit, that's, you know, Leia's brother is Luke. And you know, we kind of get to see a little bit, you know, where she just kind of feels things. Like in The Force Awakens, she feels, you know, the whole thing with Han after Han dies. You know, she so she like Force propels herself, because Luke does the he does the Force project himself, obviously, at the end of the film, where he's sitting there and all of a sudden his robes collapse and he's like, deuces, bitches. And so you know, and you know, she was like, that's peace. And so, you know, it makes me wonder if Leia maybe has the same, I don't know, it's like Luke has been trained obviously to Force. Leia hasn't. She grew up as a, you know, as a the daughter of a,
I mean, do we know that Leia hasn't been trained in the Force? Like,
we don't really know. No, that's the thing. And so like there's so many possibilities that can come from, you know, because like she's always just has this deep connection to Luke. She has a deep connection with Han, and that's where the Force comes in. You know, it's a tension. You know, Luke says that weaves its way between life and death. And so
your theory is
that she possibly, and I don't, because like it's probably more likely that they're just going to time jump and Leia will have died in the next movie. But like part of me is kind of like, maybe she is still in stasis. Maybe she's been projecting her conscience like Luke was, into, you know, into the scenes with Luke or into the scene, like she's this presence where she, you know, she did shoot Poe, but it was her Force. I don't know. It's just something kind of like that. But as I was talking to somebody else, going like, "Oh, I think they're going to do a jump," I was like, dang it. But no, I think that, and I'm really glad that Ryan showed us that, you know, showed us Leia as a Force user, because that was missing. And I'm really glad that she got it. We saw that she is really powerful, but not like in a way that she has to use like a, you know, the lightsaber, you know, but she has like this genuine inner strength. And I think that also is a reflection of Carrie too. I didn't want to go there, but I think it is. And so that's kind of where my theory rests, that, you know, this possibility that Leia isn't actually there anymore, that this is just her Force ghost, you know, her blue Force ghost. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right with it being a time jump for the next thing, but that's a cool theory. So I would read fanfic about that theory.
Yep. 10 out of 10 would read. It's not necessarily one I'm going to absolutely subscribe to right away, but it's more well thought out than some other theories of like literally Star Wars and anything else that I've read in the past. But
speaking of theories,
yeah.
I mean, people have had a lot of theories about what was going to happen in this movie, and then they did not turn out.
Which might be why there's so much salt about this film.
Like, I'm sorry.
Which salt is
this
a
movie
big
is not
theme of the film, by the way. Salt in and of itself. Major theme.
Yeah. So obviously the big kind of reveal, that is the kind of mirroring the reveal in Empire, is the reveal of who Rey's parents are. And the reveal is that they're no one. They were druggies who sold her, which I loved.
Yeah, I didn't like hate it or anything. I just, my only thought was like, they threw some really obnoxious red herrings at us about her parentage in The Force Awakens, and I don't think it was just fans theorizing. It was like ham-fisted. And I just, I mean, maybe that's Star Wars. Maybe I'm just, I'm too young to have watched all 3 movies as they were released and have had to like deal with theories if there were any at the time. Maybe there were for the prequels, but I wasn't on the internet much back then. But I mean, I'm okay with the fact that her parents aren't anybody in and of itself. I'm not really okay with how ham-fisted the stuff, the red herrings were in The Force Awakens leading up to this. And it makes me question a little bit whether or not that's actually true, but even more so whether or not that's actually what they planned or whether it was something that was, decided after The Force Awakens.
See, I thought that all those ham-fisted things were the fans projecting. Like, it was the movie and Rey projecting and wanting her to be more than she was, and fans wanting her to be and expecting her to be. And I think everyone read too much. I mean, I recently watched it, and you're like, there's literally nothing that suggests, like, I mean, apart from the fact that she plays the Luke role, and because the Skywalker line, and we assume that this is a story about Skywalkers, I don't think it's that bad.
There were a couple of small things that I think I think they were ham-fisted if you knew what you were looking for, but if you're just going in there and you have like a basic understanding, you probably wouldn't have caught them. Because I think one of the big things that people took was that her, like, Rey's theme was like similar to Luke's theme, like the score, but like, I notice a score in a movie and like, hey, that's nice music, but I don't really notice the like similarities. Even though I was in orchestra, we don't talk about that. But and then I think the thing was like, she had the vision of her parents deserting her, like when she was near the lightsaber, and I think people, I did too. Like, I assumed that meant that they were related. But and there are some people after The Last Jedi that thought that maybe that Kylo was lying to her just to like piss her off, I guess, or like spark something and try to get her to join him, which is possible. But if she is somebody's kid that that's a character that we're familiar with, I really think it would have come out somehow, because Luke went through a lot and changed a lot in the however long it's been since the end of Return of the Jedi. But I really don't think he would treat his own daughter like that. Like, there's no way he wouldn't know that's his daughter, especially when he found out she was from Jakku. Like, so if she is somebody's kid, she's like Wedge's daughter or something. I don't know.
I mean, and the thing is, there's a lot of character, and again, I think that it's minimal chance that Kylo was like outright lying to her, but if by some crazy chance that's the case, there's a lot of characters whose daughter she could be. Like, just, yes, there was like the Jedi Purge and everything, but as Star Wars Rebels has taught us, and it's canon, there were people who survived that, including Ahsoka, and there's also people just born with the Force who later become, either they become something or nothing happens. But like, there were definitely Force sensitive, and maybe this is like the EU rising up in me, but they're definitely Force sensitive people and aliens who survived throughout the Empire's reign and everything, and who would have been, no longer persecuted after, were, so far as we know, at least so far as I've seen and read, no longer persecuted after, the Republic, the new Republic, started ruling. But so there's a lot of people whose kids she could be who aren't really anybody in and of themselves. And again, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I just wish that they hadn't. I don't know. I think they were ham-fisted about it, but maybe that's just me.
I hope that's not true, because it kind of undermines the message of this movie. Because the message of this movie is that, like, everyone is the hero and we are all the Jedi and we're all the Resistance. It's like, it's not about that one hero and the one chosen one. It's sort of like democratizing the idea of the hero and the Resistance and stuff. And like, if Rey it turns out is actually the daughter of someone recognizable, then that kind of basically, undermines the message of that movie.
Yeah, I agree entirely with you, Vaughn. And that's kind of why, to me, it's important that she is nobody. Also because, like, all the other films so far have been basically Skywalker family drama. So it'll be kind of good to kind of step away from that. Not to diss the Skywalkers, of course, but it's time, as kind of the whole point of this movie was, to step away from what was and go into something new. So having Rey be part of that something new and be from nothing is kind of the whole message of the film. And we have someone in the chat who apparently has a question, but I'm not quite sure what that question is. They haven't asked it yet. So feel free to ask the question in the chat whenever you want. We're listening. So feel free to ask.
Also, like, and I had the whole thing about, like, Kylo's lying. He's a liar. But then, like, if people start talking, I was like, okay, so this, I have another theory. So, like Luke talks about, or what Snoke says it, darkness rises and light to meet it. So wouldn't it make sense that the Force is sensing there is a darkness rising? There must be more. I don't know. So, like, because you have the child at the very end of the series, or very end of the movie, and he holds his hand out and the broom zooms into his hand. Like, I think that, that's a Force user. So are they being born? Are the midichlorians being created? Like, are these, I don't know. Like, that's more of my dumb theory.
I generally try to ignore and forget the midichlorian theory, because it's
well, it's fine. No, I'm saying, but, like, did the kid not use the Force to bring the broom?
I mean, that's what I got. I got was that, like, everyone is a Jedi. Everyone gets to be a hero. Like, that was the
I forgot my mic was muted.
No, I don't know. I just, like, I thought he used I don't know.
Jamie? Did you have something?
Oh, I was gonna agree that he was a Force user, and I think even, like, Luke even says when he's talking to Rey that it's like it's not so much that only the Jedi could use the Force. It was like everybody, I think, has the ability, but some people are, like, obviously more adept at it, because, like, it's the same as anything. It's like you have to work at it. Like, yeah.
Some people have natural talent, other people have to work at it. Like, it's
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was good, and I'm a big fan. And I will really, really be quite disappointed if it turns out that she's actually related to someone. All right, so the next thing that everyone is, like, up in arms about and is very controversial is Luke. The hero of the galaxy and the hero of my heart. I love him so much, and I love him in this movie. But not everyone did. So what did you think of Luke?
First of all, I have to say my ugh is for people being up in arms about it, because, like, did they not watch Return of the Jedi? Did the people who are mad about Luke's characterization, do they not remember Luke treating Leia like a kid, or like his kid or his grandkid, like, and just being kind of like a grumpy old man who kind of does his thing and runs off and doesn't explain anything to anybody, and clearly doesn't want to be anywhere except for the fact that like he feels this need to save his friends. Well, like now he's been on this island forever. He doesn't really know what's going on. And honestly, I don't think he cares. And I think that's fine, because I think he has, if not PTSD, then some serious mental issues from literally I mean, he was the hero of the Republic, and then he kind of didn't have a role in things for a while. So then he decided to teach, like Jedi children, bring up some Jedi children. And then Kylo happened, Ben happened, and everything just got totally fucked up. And so of course he ran away to an island to be by himself. Like, my life has not been anywhere near that hard. And 9 times out of 10, I wish I could do that.
100%
Like,
the most relatable thing that has happened in any of these movies is like
seriously.
Luke Skywalker fucking off and then just going, nope, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to hide in that island until I die, and you all can deal with this mess.
And in the end, obviously, he didn't just hide away until he died.
He came back because he got forced to, but...
Right, but...
relatable.
Yeah, agreed. There were a lot of people that were, that I saw that were like, Luke would never have, like, killed his nephew. And I'm like, well, he didn't. And he even says that he reacted, it was momentary. And then he was, like, so ashamed of himself. And it's just Ben happened to wake up at the exact wrong moment. And then Luke had to live with the consequences of that. And that's obviously one of the reasons he went off into exile, was because he was so ashamed and felt so guilty of what happened and I was like, that would mess anybody up. So I think it's completely natural reaction that he lost his aunt and his uncle, who were the only parents he ever really knew. He lost his best friend. He lost all these people, and then he was responsible for losing his nephew, and like all these kids died because of him. And it's like, yeah, I would run off to an island too. I don't understand why people are like, he would never do that. Like, yes, he would. Anyway.
And also, if you
because they're all like whiny white men who have been raised by the patriarchy and don't understand that like other things. Like, sometimes people don't just man up, okay?
Sometimes people just bugger off, and that's okay. That's valid, not to be a social justice warrior, but that's valid. I don't understand. Like, I mean, people just seem really pissed off that these men in the men in this movie have feelings and have failed in some way. But this whole movie is about failure. Like, the whole thing is about, this is what happens when you fail, and this is how you deal with it.
That's
what Empire is about.
Everybody failed.
Yeah, and that's what Empire is about too. Like, that's the whole second movie thing, guys.
Everybody's
really mad about this.
We're all failures, and that's okay. You still can be a hero as a failure. I don't understand why people, like, probably what pisses me off most is the fact that people don't like Luke in this movie, because I feel like this is the best Luke movie that has happened. Can I get, like, does anyone else agree? Like,
no, yeah, I agree. I actually think it's funny because I think he pretty much turned into Yoda. He's like the sassy, like, exiled former Jedi Master, and it's like he's the Yoda role in this. And Yoda was like snarky and like whole jokes.
Yeah,
and,
like the whole brush off the shoulder thing. I was
that
like,
was awesome.
it was so cheesy, but so perfect.
Yoda is going to be trolling Luke for all of eternity now, because now they are Jedi ghost buddies forever, which means that that sass is stuck together forever. It's great.
I just think it's hilarious that Anakin has to put up with this, and Obi-Wan is just sitting there rolling his eyes going, I cannot believe I have to live with this for the rest of existence.
That is another fic I would like to read, by the way.
Obi-Wan just rolling his eyes at Yoda and Luke.
Just fic of the four of them having to exist together, like in the Force after.
It's going to be hilarious when Ben joins them too.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's like 3 generations of Skywalker.
I really hope that, like, in the next movie, Luke comes back as a Force ghost and just bugs the shit out of Kylo, and it's just like, or something.
Oh man. Okay, on the topic of Luke, slightly shifting gears, even though this is a super fun conversation, I want to talk about my favorite Luke scene, more about the clever direction of it. The showdown with Kylo Ren on the mineral planet, which name I'm temporarily forgetting right now. I don't think I can pronounce it anyway. There you go, Crate.
It's Credo. Or Crate, that one.
But the first time I saw the film, there were a lot of things I didn't notice. So if you've only seen it once, I recommend going and seeing it again just to notice all the things that you missed the first time around. Like, I thought it was weird the first time around, how did he get there? He doesn't have a ship, and this is kind of weird. But the second time around, like, you notice that he doesn't displace any of the salt on the ground. I thought those were just like weird artistic choices, like zooming in on his feet. And then you notice he has like the blue lightsaber, which was just torn apart a couple scenes before. And he's also the younger Luke, like his hair is less gray and it's closer trimmed. Like, did he stop at a barber shop on his way to Crate, like, and get a trim job? Like, how did that happen? So that powerful Luke scene, not only amazing acting wise, but direction wise, was pretty damn incredible and worth like watching over and over and over again for all the details, not just the acting, but the directing, the design. That scene, by far my favorite in the film.
It was amazing. I mean, shout out to Luke too for like dressing himself so particularly well for his final showdown. Like, he picked that outfit. Like, he was projecting himself, and he's like, guys, I'm going to look good.
And of course, Kylo was like, it's me, Grandma, I'm stage. And
he needed it. Yes, he should have had the cloak and done that. Have you guys seen the gif where somebody does that with Obi-Wan? He like drops his cloak and it's like Grandma.
Anastasia.
I think I saw on Reddit somebody pointed out that the outfit that he was wearing was the outfit he was wearing when he went to confront Ben. So I think that was a purposeful choice. He's like taunting him, especially with the blue lightsaber, basically being like, in your face.
I think that he was just being like a dramatic bitch because that's who he is. I mean, that's who.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Luke Skywalker is overreacting to literally everything that's ever happened to him. I mean, to be fair, some dramatic shit has happened to him, but he also reacts to the same way to like tiny things as he does to the world's exploding. So
runs in the family.
Yeah, sorry, I had a coughing fit. I have no idea why. I think I hadn't even drank anything in like minutes, so I just my body hates me. No, yeah, I didn't notice the whole the disturbance in the salt. I mean, I didn't notice anything like that. It was when he pulled, and even him looking younger. I thought maybe because it was like dark inside the hangar, and you know, and he had maybe cut his hair before he decided. Like, I literally was like, oh, he must have cut his hair before he decided to like hop in his raised from the water X-wing and like come save them on this random planet. But like when he pulled out the blue lightsaber, I was like, oh, well, this isn't real. What's going on? Because like, where would he have gotten that? He had a green lightsaber last we knew, and the blue lightsaber that we knew still existed had just been like broken apart. So but yeah, that's what made me kind of realize, like, okay, oh hey Rigby, okay, you know, this isn't, there's something not right here. And then after the fact, I felt kind of silly for like not seeing all of the other stuff, especially like the fact that he was like pounded with like lasers from the AT-ATs and whatnot, and like nothing happened.
He can do anything.
Force shield.
Yeah. I mean that's what I thought at the time, like force shield. But I was like, have we had any like history of anything like that?
I was fully willing to accept. I was just like, sure.
Vader could do that, sort of. I mean, he redirected the blasters on Bespin. So I mean, maybe not to that extent, obviously, but
I have got to have that shot of him like walking out there with all the AT-ATs lined up like on the horizon. I want that as a desktop wallpaper so bad. That shot was so beautiful. Oh my god, please. I know that we don't have access to the whole film yet, like in high definition. We just have like trailers. But if anyone finds that shot,
not that we're looking for it, Disney, because we would never, but
I didn't even notice the lightsaber, so at least everybody was step ahead.
I mean, I noticed all this stuff, but it didn't really kind of click until after it had been revealed that he wasn't there. Like afterwards, I was like, oh my god, yes, of course, that's why all that stuff was there. But I was too kind of like in the moment, like I was too worried about what was going to happen. I was like, oh god, this is when Luke dies. I'm about to watch Luke Skywalker die. I don't think I'm ready to watch Luke Skywalker die, guys.
Right. What is it? What was it? It was what was it? It's like Star Wars. I better not have to watch Luke Skywalker die with my own damn eyeballs. Like the Last Jedi. Have you guys seen that picture? I have to send it to y'all. But I was like, I made a ton of notes because like because the first one I didn't even see the lightsaber like explode in the Red Room of Death. I didn't see that lightsaber. I didn't see that happen. I don't know why. Probably because I was drugs. Nice drugs, prescribed drugs, but drugs. So I didn't even notice that. But then, like, I was watching it today, and I was like, oh. See, because at first I was like, oh, it's like Stephanie said, the salting. I was like, oh, so artsy. Lucas' soul is pure, so he's not making any bloody footprints on the ground. That's so artsy. And like, but no, like I was telling y'all in the chat, I was like, I wish whenever I'm angry, I could just like have somebody roll out a carpet of that stuff. So whenever I get angry, just start like pawing at the ground, and it'll just like spread everywhere. Like, and it brings a whole new meaning to the word salty. Like, I know it's technically salt on top of red crystal, but whatever.
I really wish that I had some sort of like awesome story with how I came up with my thought about how Crate is coated with the salt from the evaporated tears of fanboy haters. But like, we were walking around Star Wars Galactic Nights at Disney last night, and I'm like randomly checking Facebook because this chat is just exploding my Facebook messages, and I see like parts of your guys' conversation, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna interject this one thing that I've just now thought of, and then I'm out for the rest of the night.
Fanboy tears. I'm gonna need like a GIF of that so that I can just throw it at people.
Like I tweeted about it, but yeah, I need like a picture. I need a GIF or even just a picture of like a nerdy white dude, probably, let's be real, like bearded fat white dude, like crying giant tears onto Crate. So let's make that happen.
I also should note that I was watching I'm gonna look in the chat real quick here, but I was watching it today, and I noticed as the credits were rolling by, you know, the guy like licks the salt and he's like, salt. Literally, he is listed. His name is Matthew Sharp. He is listed as Resistance Trench Sergeant Salty. That is his name. Like, that is who he is listed as. And I was like, ah! Like, you know, obviously somebody's been checking up on their memes.
I am so excited for all the salt memes that are going to come out of this. Like, we've got the planet made of the angry fanboy tears. We've got General Salt, and I cannot wait until we have the reaction gif of the guy like licking it and going, salt. Like, that reaction gif is going to get so much mileage. like
all right. So next topic that we have is the cameo, which is obviously a massive spoiler, but if at this point you got this far, then you've been spoiled. Is Yoda is back, and he is as sassy as ever. He's amazing. I love him.
So
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I loved it. I just was really weirded out by like how he looked. It was odd to me because he looked younger than he did in like the original trilogy, and particularly in the scene at the end of Return of the Jedi. But he was still older than the prequels, so it was. And I know like I knew that he was a puppet, which was nice. but like he didn't look there was something off about the way he looked, and that was literally like, it's a minor silly complaint because everything else about it was it was a good time for him to pop up. I hope they don't have him come back again, really, unless it's in kind of a Return of the Jedi sense where he just like appears as a ghost with like all the other guys. The Golden Ghosts, guys. It's going to be a TV show on Disney.
Credit
but no.
to Dan for that one. Thank you.
Yeah. But I mean, other than how he looked, and as long as they don't overdo it in the future, I don't understand how somebody wouldn't enjoy Yoda coming back. Let's be real.
I think they were obviously trying to make him look more like he did in the original trilogy. Like, it was definitely more puppet looking than CGI, like he did in the prequels. But I mean, surely someone somewhere has the original puppet that they could have used. Like, that would have been amazing. My aunt had that as a centerpiece on her dining room table for like 12 years. So somebody's got a puppet somewhere of Yoda. But I agree. I don't think.
I can't believe your aunt kidnapped Yoda.
Yeah. And you know what? When I was younger, it really freaked the crap out of me because I didn't know what it was. And like, you just walk into the dining room and there's this like giant green puppet on the table, and it scared me when I was like 6. But I don't think they'll bring him back in the third one. I think, especially now that like, I mean, Luke's gone, and like the only person that was still living that had that connection to Yoda was Luke. So I don't think he'll make another cameo like that. I think if he does, it's going to be, like a Return of the Jedi, all the ghosts chilling at a party kind of thing. Because he wasn't at the last one. He's probably mad that he didn't get the invite to the.
I hope so. I hope that they all turn up, and it's hilarious. I'm gonna read so much fanfic about them just living in the afterlife together.
Yeah, I am. And also, like, Yoda was like, "Fuck your tree," and he's like that, and like Luke was like, "Oh my god," and he was like, and Yoda was like, "Well, bitch, you weren't gonna do it." Like, I feel like those glasses need to drop down, the mean glasses. And
I feel like this is like fanboy, like metaphor. Like Luke is the fanboy that's like, no, my canon of Star Wars, and
and then Yoda's like, "Hi, bitch." Yeah, like, "Oh, you want your elitism? Bam, burning out." Like,
wasn't for you now. Sorry.
I was trying to find this picture because this is at Galactic Nights last night, and I don't know, you can't really see it, but it was like a. Let me see if there's a better one. Not really. It was like it had a glowing Millennium Falcon on it. It was a cupcake with ground, like chocolate frosting is the ground, and a glowing Millennium Falcon, and this like white chocolate thing with like a Star Wars scene printed on it. And in the picture, wrong way, it was like Rice Krispies dyed green to look like trees. Okay, and like I remember, because I think back, it was after you said something to me, or you the night before you'd sent something in this group chat, and I'm eating this cupcake, and I pull the piece of Rice Krispie off it, and Brian's like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's like Rice Krispie trees," and I'm like, "Fuck your trees." I don't know. It's a stupid story, but I really enjoyed Galactic Nights, and also didn't enjoy it because Disney is bad about organization these days. But like that stupid cupcake, that glowing Millennium Falcon left a chocolate frosting stain on my.
Never gonna give us access.
What?
No, every time
never gonna give us access to anything.
No, Disney, we love you. We're not. Tara's just a minute. She's
No. I paid for access to this event. I tweeted at them a couple times about some pretty obnoxious things that happened, and they actually tweeted back. They tweeted back at me because it was organizational stuff. Like, I had a great time, but like organization wise, the event was horrible.
For the record, I believe in truth and integrity above access, but I'm just poking at you. I'm sorry.
Every time somebody does something shitty in the fandom, or like says something shitty, like every time like a man boy is like, "Man, we need to be like, fuck your trees."
That's honestly like we need the gif of Yoda blowing up the tree.
Fuck
like along with the salt. That's all we need.
Yeah,
I will see. Fuck your trees. That's Yoda.
So I mean, While we're on the topic of fuck your trees, we should probably turn on to the most controversial and interesting topic of the movie, outside of the fanboys getting whingy about shit. And that is Kylo Ren or Ben Organa, whichever one you want to go for. So how do we feel about Kylo Ren in this movie?
I liked him better I liked him better in I liked him better in this one than I did in The Force Awakens. In The Force Awakens, he was just too whiny for me. So I liked him better in this one. I could see more of the depth of his character. But I am extremely glad that they, at least in this movie, they didn't go for the redemption arc. Because I'm really sick of like homicidal, whiny white boys getting redemption arcs after they kill a bunch of children. Like, sorry, no, I know. But he's just like, I'm sick of that as a plot, like in general, that like the villain gets the, like, I don't know, he doesn't seem to want to be redeemed. So at least at this point, so I'm glad they didn't go in that direction, and I kind of hope they stay in that direction, just because I think that's more of an interesting story than, oh, he sees the light and he's good now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, he's I loved him in this. I thought Kylo Ren was the standout in this movie. He was great. Adam Driver's performance was amazing. He's a whiny, but he's a whiny kid. Like, he's annoying, but he's exactly
Kylo
the kind
Ren
of villain that we need.
Bitch.
Yeah, basically. He's a punk ass bitch. He's, does anyone follow the emo Kylo Ren?
Yes.
Because that is like pretty much on point.
I'm so glad it's active again.
Yeah.
Dear Diary, there have been some changes.
I mean,
wait,
literally,
really?
like
active again? I have to go look now.
The emo Kylo Ren Twitter and like just also past cosplay mashups that I've seen is what led me to create a Disney Princess Kylo Ren cosplay. And this isn't Disney Princess Kylo Ren like I'm like cute and sweet and pretty. No, this is like everything is black and all is black, and like the only thing I'm mad about is now he doesn't have his mask anymore, so like my headpiece makes no sense. But like he is a Disney princess in every sense of like. Actually, no, he's kind of still the opposite of a Disney princess, because Disney princesses are supposed to be like sweet and whatever. But I don't know. There's a lot of.
I think that, I mean, people have like a lot of stuff about don't like Kylo Ren for a lot of reasons, but I think that what they're confusing is like not liking him as a person, like not wanting to hang out with him or like date him. They're confusing with him being a bad character, because he's not a bad character. He's like probably the most interesting villain like Disney has come up with, because he's he's come from like he's got a loving family. He was betrayed by Luke, but that was one thing that's happened to him like 10 years ago. He's a grown-ass adult that is making these choices. He's obviously traumatized by his past, but he can be traumatized and he can have PTSD, and he can be like a victim in a lot of ways, but still be a megalomaniac villain at the same time. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
There was one line that I got mad about in the movie that it was earlier in the movie. I kind of like my anger kind of dissipated as the movie went on, but there's a scene where Snoke refers to him as a boy in a mask. And I feel like that referring to, I mean, I know what it was supposed to represent, but I was like, there are so many, like, when, particularly men, when they make bad decisions, as like, especially like in this political climate, like everybody acts like whichever Trump kid it is, and they're like, oh, he's just a kid. He's like 30 something. He's not a kid. The thing, it was like, oh, Kylo, he's just a boy in a mask. It's like, no. Well, I don't know how old is Kylo supposed to be? Like 20?
Assuming like 30s?
I have no idea how old he's actually.
At least like
if he is supposed to be in his 30s, then there is something. I'm sorry. If he is supposed to be in his late teens or early 20s or even mid 20s, there is something wrong. Because like, I'm sorry, Adam Driver, bleh. And also, like, he does not look young. Like, yeah, I think I'm older than Adam Driver, and I think I look younger than him. Bleh.
Well, he's got to be. Force Awakens was 30 years after Return of the Jedi, right? So he's got to be younger than 30.
Okay.
So he's probably like mid to late. I think that was the time jump.
I think that in one of the Leia books it gives a better idea of how old he is, but
It says here. Sorry. It says here that he was born in 5 ABY, Hana City, Chandrila.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I mean, I know what it means in Star Wars speak, but I don't know what year it is right now.
Yeah.
In Star Wars years. So I guess it depends on, like, yes, yeah, if Force Awakens took place, and honestly, Last Jedi takes place literally right after.
It's like 3 days.
Yeah, it's so, so there's that. But, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, so I'm giving him late 20s, and I think that's probably legitimate. Like, maybe like closer to mid than to late, but like I still Adam Driver.
Past 25, okay. He's responsible for his own actions. You know.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah, that was my point. That I was like, he's an adult. He made his choice. Like.
He's been offered redemption by 2 characters now, and he has said no. So if he gets redemption in the next series, the next episode would be a little bit disappointed.
I'm kind of being suspiciously quiet right now, and and because my feelings are extraordinarily complicated. On the one hand, I do not like Kylo for all the reasons that have been mentioned. I think that he can be extraordinarily whiny, has temper tantrums, has anger issues. He represents a lot of things that right now in our society are problems, like the entitled white boys, basically, that are very rampant. But at the same time, there were a lot of themes that I saw that he has kind of been through some crap. Like, and that doesn't mean that he's not responsible for his actions, of course. There is no excuse. He has been offered redemption and he is turning it down. So I'm not making excuses for him at all. He's got some problems. So my feelings for him are very complicated because he annoys the crap out of me. But at the same time, boy, just someone needs to offer him a hug and he needs to accept it.
That's the thing, though. People are offering him hugs, you know?
And he needs to accept it now. Like, he needs to accept it, and both things need to happen. And then maybe, like...
See, the thing is, like, I feel sorry for him, and I think he was a victim of, obviously, manipulation and abuse as when he was young. But I also think that, again, he's an adult, and he's had opportunities to redeem himself from that and to make the right choice, and he chose not to. So...
Yeah, it's complicated, basically. Like...
But I enjoyed him in this movie. I enjoyed the conflict. I enjoyed the kind of like, because I was like, I kind of rooted for him a little bit. I was like, I hate you, and you are obviously, I don't want you to be redeemed, and I don't think you deserve to be redeemed. But I felt for him, and I was like, if you take like Rey's hand, if you make that choice to go with them, I would feel good. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'd be like, I think that this is a legitimate thing, and you could do that. But then he didn't, and I was like, I kind of feel good that didn't happen, but I feel bad at the same time.
I think my thing with him is that, like, once you see this movie, is like you can understand why he turned on Luke. I think that he obviously like caught Luke in a very, very, very terrible moment of weakness, and like.
I mean, Luke fucked up. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and didn't give him the opportunity to really like, because his lightsaber was still on. But I still don't know, like, why burn down the temple or whatever. Why kill everybody else? Like, I could understand, like, going after Luke, but it was like, then he killed everybody else in the thing. Ran off with a bunch of people.
Do we know for sure that he killed everybody else? Because, like, they weren't there, but I still, and I could have missed something, especially in this movie. But,
well, there were bodies.
Okay.
There was a line that was said
when they showed
Luke said most of them were dead, but didn't he also say that he took some of them? Which confused me.
He did, because he had the Knights of Ren. Yeah, that's where the Knights of Ren came from.
Which is odd that we still haven't seen any of the Knights of Ren, but that's.
Yeah, I need to know more about
them. I have some fan fiction for you. Then I've already fan cast all of them. I'll show you my pictures in my graph. No, but I have some feelings about Kylo Ren, and I will play not the devil's advocate, but I will play. I don't know. Okay, so
The whiny white boy advocate.
yeah, sure. No, fuck your trees, Stephanie. Fuck your trees. Okay. No, I think the reason why for some reason I'm at stop. For some reason I am, for people who are listening to the podcast, they're just laughing hysterically, and I'm not going to look at them anymore. Hold on. So the reason why, the reason I'm also attracted to Kylo to begin with is because he's a piece of gutter trash, and that's my thing. Oh God. Okay. Sorry. Back. So he's not necessarily attractive. Like he's not. Adam Driver is not the conventionally attractive man. He's not. Now that being said, the shirtless Kylo, when he was dripping wet, all sweaty or whatever, I was the only person in the theater who was like, woo! Like a drunk mom at a male venue. Because I was like, and everybody was like quiet. Everybody could hear a pen drop, and I was like, ah, shit. But that was fan service. And I mean, I don't know. I'm attracted to him, but he's not attractive.
Very specific white girls who are into this.
What'd you say?
Very
yeah,
specific.
no, it is. It's first. I don't know what it is about him. He's just seeing girls, and he makes this girl crawl. I don't know. We'll get it. We'll talk about that later. But no. So I've talked to a lot of people who identify with Kylo Ren. Which yikes. You know, I love a good anti-hero. I do. I think Ben is probably he has the potential to walk the same line of Anakin, like baddie turned goodie the last minute, which I always love a redemption story, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, no, I want him to die. I want him to die as the bad guy. Like, I want him to go. But he still kind of has that quivering lip thing going on. And, so like,
I mean, it's just
like,
honestly that I'm not into it, to be honest, because like whiny white boys with like issues is like my jam, and I'm just like
whiny white boy advocate.
No, I'm not saying I'm into him. I'm
You're not saying
that
you're
a
not
lot of
into
people.
it.
Shut up. Look. I am a phasma. Phasma is where my heart is, right behind my boobs. That is where phasma. I'm a phasma fangirl so much. But like I kind of am like watching Kylo Ren from behind my fingers. I'm like, oh God, don't do that. But
his nakedness was like, I am not prude at all, but I don't want to see his gross ass chest. Get it away.
I liked it.
It was quite the reminder to me about how high on the Kinsey scale I actually am.
I'm just like, okay.
Were we supposed to be attracted to that?
No, it was supposed to be a moment of like weird tension. It was supposed to be building weird tension with Rey and Kylo.
No, she was like,
not. Like, can you please cover up? Like, put on a blanket.
I like to think that he was trying to be seductive, and she was just like, no.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, baby, you want a piece of this, m'lady? And she was like, ah. But no,
reminded me of the Saturday Night Live Kylo Ren skit where he goes under the undercover boss, and it's like Kylo Ren is Kylo Ren and he has a D-pad.
Kylo Ren is shredded. He has a D-pad.
Random aside, speaking of thirsty women, before I forget to say this, I have to say this. So we were riding Star Tours last night, and they've got all these new Force Awakens and also Last Jedi scenes, and in one, Poe Dameron appears in the middle of like the 3D screen. He's like, hey, I'm poor Dameron, and this woman behind us is like, yeah, he is. We were just
me, that's me.
Poe Dameron's a reminder that I'm not a complete 6 on the Kinsey scale.
Oh my God, Poe Dameron. Like,
wow.
Well, to be fair, literally every lesbian I know is like, yeah, man, I would bang Poe Dameron. Like,
everybody likes Poe Dameron, so yeah, that's true.
I think that probably. I mean, does anyone have anything else to add about Kylo Ren?
Bekah?
I don't know. I did something clever, but no. Before we get into something, like I added this in. Like, let's talk about Phasma. One, I'll talk about Phasma since nobody else. First of all, her eyeball. Okay, So she's gonna come back like melted in like the Terminator, be like, I'm back, bitch. And then like it's gonna be like her versus Finn. It's gonna be like. So I love Phasma and I love Gwendolyn Christie, and thanks for having me here tonight. Okay.
I enjoyed Phasma in this movie for the short amount of time that she had. It was a good fight scene, and I think she's pretty dead, but no one is ever dead. So, all right, so we'll move on to the thirsty part of our time here, which
I mean, I was real quick. I agree about Phasma.
Even more charming.
Phasma she needs to not be dead, and I'm sure she isn't, but like how she isn't, like someone was saying like, oh, she could like cover up her eye hole with her hand.
No,
and I'm like,
it's to show.
Do we even know if there was atmosphere wherever she was falling into? Like, if she's still alive, there's going to be seriously disfigured.
There was atmosphere.
Okay,
because, the oxygen, because the fires were burning. Also, like, I actually thought about this a lot. What are you doing?
Turning around because I don't agree with you.
What? No! What do you mean? Tara, I think she's... Look,
if you're listening to this podcast, Tara has just, like, turned her back on this point. She's like, no.
Phasma is alive because it was the AT-AT that was shooting at her, and it was just like, bing, bing, bing.
Y'all, Phasma being alive after this is like Boba Fett surviving the Sarlacc pit in the Tales from Tatooine EU book.
Look, I will fight you, Tara. Look, she has to come back because Finn has to kill her. That is his destiny, is to kill her. Like, fight. Like, it's like that. Like, we got the Clegane Bowl, we've got the Chrome Bowl, y'all, bitches. Let's go. Chrome Bowl. Like, I'm sorry, like, she's gonna come back because, I mean, she came back from being exploded on the Starkiller base. I mean, but the chromium, I think, is gonna protect her. I think her face is gonna be fucked up, but I think the chromium's gonna protect her.
I'm on team she's gonna come back with, like, but horribly disfigured.
I mean, that feels bad because, like, Gwendolyn Christie is so gorgeous, and we never got to see her face in this movie. And that makes me sad.
But she's not supposed to be pretty. She's supposed to be a badass chrome killing machine.
She can be badass chrome killer and pretty at the same time, okay? Excuse me.
Well, Brienne wasn't supposed to be pretty either, and yet.
True. And yes, and yet we have. I don't know. I think she's going to come back. I think it's got to be.
And yet there's only like 6+. There's only one actress who actually is a good actress, I guess, and also well over 6 feet. Because I feel like this is Gwendolyn Christie. This is her cast from now on. The badass, who probably shouldn't be attractive, but is because it's Gwendolyn.
I want to see her in a rom-com, to be honest. But that is,
I agree.
It wasn't a rom-com. It was something. She was Zoolander. Never mind. No, not Zoolander. The one about the 2 old ladies that are in England and they push somebody into a well.
absolutely fabulous movie.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think she's gonna come back just because they've been doing so much promo with Gwendolyn. I don't know. I think she's gonna have a bigger part. And even Gwen, like, they wrote a freaking book about her. Like, there has to be something more to Phasma. But I'm also very opinionated about Phasma. I'm sorry. Like, I'm Phasma trash. I'm Chrome trash can. Like,
I respect that. I am gonna say that she's probably all dead, but I would not be surprised if she came back. Anyway, can we now talk about Poe? Because I'm literally itching. Guys, it's very important to me that we have this discussion.
Please. I am like sweating bullets in my Poe Dameron jacket just to talk about Poe.
How hot is it there in Hawaii, by the way?
It's somewhat cold for us, but still probably warm for the rest of the country.
Yeah, same. It's like 70 here, 65.
About the same.
All right, guys. So please tell me your feelings about Poe.
I have a lot of feelings about Poe, but to start off, favorite line of the film was Poe's, which is "I'm holding for hugs."
I liked when he was like, "I'm holding for hugs." Was that hugs?
Hugs.
Hugs.
Hugs. Hugs. Like General Hux.
The next Leia has a message for him from his mother.
Oh God. But also, can we talk about his character arc in this film? Because he's always kind of been the hotshot pilot, and we knew that. And like in The Force Awakens, that worked because that was what he needed to be. But in this one, we needed something more. We needed we needed him to start to step into the leadership role. And that's kind of what Leia was pushing him towards. And through the course of the movie, you saw that. And by the end, like, the old Poe would have probably also wanted to go out there and blow shit up like Finn was wanting to kind of go do. But instead, Poe's reaction was to get the resistance out, like, and escape and be the spark that lights the fire that takes, the First Order down. And like that arc throughout the film was amazing. And like, I didn't think I could love Poe any more than I did, but I do apparently.
I mean, I did not think that Oscar Isaac could get more charming, and then he did. And I like that they used that charm as part of his characterization. Like when he is in there, and he's like trying to charm his way into just getting everything that he wants, and it doesn't. And he's like, "What? Why is this happening? Like people just usually do whatever I want. What?" And he's just like, "That's really." I feel like everyone would be doing exactly what Poe wants them to do because he's so charming and gung ho and hero.
But not by Samuel Holdo.
No, because she's cooler.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not having any of your ridiculous flyboy antics. Yes, you are charming as fuck, but no. Please go play with the other children.
Her purple hair just made me wish that I still had purple hair.
I loved it.
It was that badass. Because she's great. I mean, really. Laura Dern, first of all, in my mind, can't really do any wrong. Like, anything I've ever seen her in, I love her in. Also, she was married to Ben Harper, and I know they're like split or whatever, but amazing. But I just, it was a good choice, and I only wish that she hadn't been like a one film, one shot wonder.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why she was there, and she was like what her narrative purpose was. And she was there to, essentially teach Poe about leadership and get him ready to be the leader in the next movie. But yeah, I'm sad that she's not around. I mean, she went out. She had the best character death of anyone that has ever died in the Star Wars universe.
We were talking about it, and we were trying to figure numbers. She may have like the third highest kill count. Like, think about it. That dreadnought or Snoke's ship was like 32 kilometers wide. I mean, obviously the Death Stars were bigger, but yeah, like Luke Skywalker, because there were like about 500,000 people on the Death Star, according to like the new EU. And then the second Death Star wasn't quite finished, so it didn't have as many people. So then Wedge Antilles, but like she's probably, if she's not third, she's definitely top 5 kill count from just one shot.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
One of the things that people were salty about again was that it's like they're like, if they could do that with a ship, why haven't they always been doing that? It's like, I'm sorry, do you realize how much of a waste of resources it is to do that all the time? Like I think you're supposed to understand, especially from this film, is that the Resistance is small. Like they don't have the resources to build these like giant ass ships just to like light speed them into something. I
also got the idea, like I got the picture that it wasn't something that was known to be able to do. Like she was like doing something that she didn't know would work and no one else knew would work. Exactly. And theoretically it might work, but no one had ever done it before. So
it was an act of desperation.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's why she did it.
And I think that her like theoretically it would work, but it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she just
I'm imagining she's like a mathematical genius.
Yeah, or just got lucky, but
I mean, yeah, I think it's got to be a lot of luck. I mean, it's a last minute thing that no one has ever done before, so it's like got to be really risky and really like probably won't work, and it just happened to work in that one instance because it was like total desperation.
I mean, the people on his ship knew something was going to happen, because like before she went to light speed, they were like, shit, fire on the capital ship, ignore the transports.
It took him a while to figure it out though. Like she was almost at them by the time they.
It's because Hux is an idiot.
Yeah, that is his general characterization, and that is what makes him the best villain in the show, because he's an idiot. And his idiocy also pisses off the fanboys, because they're like, he doesn't seem to know what he's doing. It's like, yeah, like all the whiny white boys that are in power, right?
Wait, you're saying Poe doesn't seem to know what he was doing?
No. Hux.
No.
Oh. There was a couple of moments where, just forgive me for this, I like Poe. He's not my favorite character.
Tread lightly.
You know, because like, whoa! What is the heck? I'm so sorry. I'll have one arm and
That is like the fourth time you've dropped your computer.
In defense of Poe, I force push your computer.
It's set up on the shut up. It's set up on this like a ramp type thing, and it's my brother's computer, and it keeps like tilting backwards, and I only have one hand. But no, it kind of where's that one scene in Stranger Things where Steve has got that look on his face where he's just like, okay, tell me like I'm a 5-year-old. Like he kind of has that, and there's a couple of moments where Poe has that endearing kind of like, wait, what? Kind of look on his face. I don't know if y'all know him. Maybe, I don't know. I thought it was cute. I don't know. I just thought there was a moment where he was like, I don't know. I think he's charming for sure, but I'm not like, you know, quite as like charmed by him as I am by like Finn.
I mean, Finn is obviously the most lovable character, but like, I mean, he's just so, like, he's so arrogant and so hothead flyboy hero, and they actually took that and dissected the fact that that hothead hero character is kind of dangerous and not necessarily the person that you should have in charge of these situations, unlike in other movies where he would be. Like, Luke is the hothead flyboy that they just put in charge of everything.
Right. What did we say? He's the Seamus Finnegan of the Star Wars. The Star Wars universe.
He's the Harry Potter of the Star Wars universe.
He can be pushed in the right direction. I think that's what Leia was trying to do. Like, she wants him to be better. Like, she wants him to be
He learns his lesson.
And you know who can temper him? But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Sorry, that's... Next, I'm going to just mute myself now.
Anyway, Poe Dameron is my favorite character. I love him more than I love anyone. But I get why. I mean, he does have flaws, but I don't not want to hear about them.
But that's the thing. Like, yes, he has flaws, but
I like the flaws.
A flawless character is fucking boring. Nobody wants that.
I've seen because I went through and read all of the Rotten Tomatoes, a bunch of the Rotten Tomatoes reviews because I hate myself. And like one of the major complaints complaints was that Poe was ruined in this movie because he is basically just demeaned by the women and told what to do. And I'm like, no, he's just learning a lesson. He's becoming the leader that they needed to be by learning from a person in a position of power who has more knowledge than him. That's
seriously,
he's not in charge. The women are in charge. I mean,
we know literally, we know next to nothing about Vice Admiral Holo. If you've read the Princess Leia, Princess of Alderaan book, apparently she's in that. But if you have only seen the movie, you know next to nothing about her, except for the fact that, for fuck's sake, he knows who she is. And he's surprised, and I don't think he's surprised that she's a woman. He's got to know her first name. He's surprised that she's wearing a gown and she's got purple hair. You know what I mean? And she's older. I don't think he's surprised that she is female. And it doesn't matter that she's female. She's a vice admiral. She got that way somehow.
Because that scene that where he about who she was threw me off at first too. But I don't think it's because she's female that it threw me off. I think it was because she does look very elegant for someone who has a reputation for being
kind of a
apparently so badass. But I think that's kind of the point, is that you can be elegant and beautiful and badass at the same time. Hell, Leia is. Yeah. She's gorgeous and elegant, and she's badass. You can be both. And so he might have been slightly thrown, but hell, he shouldn't have been, because Leia, he respects her. But hey, he's learning lessons.
He was upset too, because he obviously has a really close relationship with Leia, and then she's almost dead and dying, and he's the last thing he learns is that she didn't put him in a position of power, which, obviously there's a reason, because he's not ready, but, you would still be kind of annoyed by if your mentor / surrogate parent was like, didn't think that you were worthy of the position you thought you were.
Yeah, there was a lot of anger about that Holdo didn't tell Poe the plan. They're like, oh, that could have, like, they wouldn't have lost so many people. It's like, why should she tell him? I mean, we don't know the command structure of the resistance. We don't know how high up he actually is. Like, he's a captain, but I'm sure there are a lot of captains.
I might be in the minority in this room, but I kind of agree with that criticism. But we don't always have to agree.
I think that, like,
well,
in a situation like that,
I was just saying that it's like if it had been Leia's plan, she would have told him. But Holdo doesn't know Poe, and he was just demoted for not following orders and blowing crap up and losing all of their bombers. So I can totally understand why she wouldn't tell him. I mean, could she have been like, I have a
Just a side note.
That's fair.
How bad of a design were those fucking bombers, by the way? What was it? They're like slow. They're like slow moving with like a billion little like beeping bombs, and they're little. It was very phallic, y'all. But also, they were just the worst design in every possible way. That's all I had to say. I'm sorry. We don't need to discuss it. They were just a horrible, horrible design, and they shouldn't exist.
It did not bother me that much, but yeah, I mean, I figured that they're the resistance, so they just can't buy the best equipment. And we know from like basic military spending now that people don't necessarily buy the best stuff; they buy shit because they get sold it, which is essentially one of the plots of this. Capitalism is bad, you guys. But
kind of, yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that in front of a bunch of Americans. Sorry.
We kind of agree. You're in a room.
I'm honestly pretty sure that
your message.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there are 4 Americans here, and all of us are way far leaning left to the point of being socialists.
Oh, man.
I'm not gonna like speak for anybody else. I know that I am, and I'm fairly certain that the other 3 Americans on this chat are.
I know. I worry about like saying bad things about capitalism in front of Americans. They tend to get weird.
Not these Americans. Maybe some other Americans.
How dare you? I will sit here in my capital bed with my capital parents and my capital dog and drink out of my capital cup. Okay.
Oh, you've talked a bit about Vice Admiral Holdo, but they are other new characters in this movie. The most significant, of course, being Rose. Do we like her? Do we love her?
Rose is great.
I love her.
I love her so much.
It's upsetting that like her character had like the whole beginning of it was like her dealing with her sister's like fridging, but I
didn't necessarily think that was a fridging.
I guess her sister died a hero, so maybe not. I just wish that hadn't been exactly how we met her. Like, oh, her sister dies, and then later she pops up as like being like. I guess the thing that I wasn't sure about was the way they portrayed her, like what she said to Finn, how she's like kind of stalking the escape pods to make sure people don't escape because people are abandoning the resistance because and her sister died for it. I just feel like there was maybe a better way they could have.
I think she was stalking. I thought that was literally like where her job was to watch the escape pods.
I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. I thought her job was like she was kind of like a tech person who was
she was a tech person, but
in the walls or whatever. I didn't know, like I pictured it as like she's supposed to be doing something else, but she's kind of assigned herself to the escape pods because she's mad that people are escaping. I could be wrong. I honestly and I think it was kind of left up, like I don't think they said one way or the other, so it's like left up to like your interpretation. It doesn't make me like her any less. It just makes me sad that her sister died so soon.
Yeah. Here's my thing about Rose. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say about the escape pod thing. Like, I more got the sense that that was where she went to cry about what happened to her sister, and since she was there, she just happened to be catching people trying to escape and just decided to like keep doing it. I didn't get the sense that like she had gone there with that purpose. I more got the sense that it was like she just wanted to be alone to grieve, and in the process happened to catch all
I can't do this jacket anymore, guys. I'm ditching it. It's killing me. Anyway, I lasted an hour and a half. Oh, anyway, back to Rose. My feelings on Rose is that I think she's an amazing character that didn't get the best plot points in the movie. Because I feel like the whole trip to the casino planet, and God, I'm so bad at planet names. I can't remember the casino planet's name either. I couldn't remember Crate's name, and now I can't.
It's Candlebite is the name of the town.
Okay.
That's all that matters. I don't remember that. I didn't remember that either.
I didn't like that subplot, and I didn't like, but I think that her as a character was amazing. And also I like that both her and her sister, even though her sister died, were both given agency. And like her sister, even though she died, was given a heroic moment. Like,
I mean, that's why I don't really count it as fridging, because like that character needed to be there and have that moment, and would have had that moment whether she was Rose's sister or not.
Yeah, exactly. And also, one of the things about fridging that I always understood, and I might be slightly wrong on this, is I always thought that fridging had to do with dying to give like a man pain and motivation. It might have given Rose motivation.
I've never thought it had to do with gender. Yeah.
Okay, I might be wrong on that. Maybe it's just give someone.
Well, it's that it's far more common for it to be done as like a relationship thing where one person, is killed off to give the other, and obviously because the way media is, it is far more often heterosexual relationships. So yeah, no, it's not really like wrong. It's just you're right. Like it's way more often done to further like a relationship thing, and especially with men,
which is why the Bechdel test exists, because the use of women in narratives sucks. So yeah, maybe that's not part of fridging women. It's just an unfortunate byproduct of how we use women.
I think I loved Rose. I thought she was amazing. She's my new favorite character. She's like an ascended fangirl, and I dig that about her. And fangirls don't get to ascend very often, and so I'm here for it when they do. I didn't hate the casino plot as much as a lot of people. I thought it dragged a little bit, and I thought it spent a little bit too much time on it. But I also thought that it did a lot of things that were important narrative-wise and theme-wise. Like it showed specifically who the winners and losers are of war outside of the context of battle, which is the kind of a really important theme that, runs through the movie, and is like the end part doesn't really work unless you've had those bits where they go off out of the battle and they see everybody, like the rich people, just like winning off, and gaining from other people suffering, and you see poor people being like oppressed by this rich class that is just getting money from other people fighting battles that don't really affect them significantly. And I think that was really important. And
yeah, I agree. Like I hated on the casino plot a little bit in my review, but mostly because what you said, like it was just kind of, they could have done what they did in a lot shorter time. I also just really cringe at anytime Star Wars brings little children into the mix now. I just have this ugh. And granted, I don't really like children, so that's probably part of it too.
Well, this is a kids movie. This is a movie for kids, so you've got to.
I know, but I mean, so were all the other ones, and the only ones that featured children were the worst ones.
I don't think that had anything to do with the children.
I mean, I just mean there was a lot of like the kids in the stables and the it was like the pod racing thing. Like I had this moment when Rose was like, oh my god, it's like something racing, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't tell me this is like a pod racing course. I will die.
I
will
same
die.
fear. I'm like, not pod racing, please.
I was in this like I will leave the theater. I mean, I'll come back in like 3 minutes, but I'm gonna leave it if it's pod racing. But no, really, I mean, but then it was those animals, and they're like giant, weird rabbit things. I don't know.
Shut your mouth. Those things are darling, and I will have all of them.
You shut your face. You're looking at a film that had porgs and crystal foxes, and you're telling me those things were cool? Those things were creepy.
Cool. No, they're cool. They're cool because it's basically my dog, and I love my dog. My dog is a flying fennec fox horse thing.
But I love the banter between you guys so much, and Bekah, I love you. But quickly want to say something about Vaughn's point about the themes. I do have to say that even though I thought that the Canto Bight, I think is the name of the planet, or so Dan has said in the chat, dragged, and I didn't really like the atmosphere. The themes were hugely important, like especially about war and the profiting of war, and that's kind of relevant to now. And Star Wars does that a lot, where they bring up themes that we should probably stop and think about in our current society, maybe a little bit. Perhaps maybe for a few minutes. Rogue One did it too. Maybe it's just Ryan Johnson's kind of good at that. And it's good at bringing these themes. I just didn't like the dressing of those themes. I didn't like the planet. So
I liked the look of the planet. I thought it looked cool, and I liked the kind of shot where they went through the casinos. It felt like very old Hollywood, and it was like that I really enjoyed it. My main thing is that it dragged a bit and it went on for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And I love any kind of like luxury or decadence. I know it sounds weird, but I'm very visual, and so like to me it was very like Vaughn said, very old Hollywood, very Gatsby almost. And so I liked it, and I recognized who was it? Oh, Lily Cole. Nobody knows who she is. That's okay. And also Gary apparently was in the movie too, which is awesome. No, I loved it. Not so much when the horse fox dogs are crashing through the.
Literally just mentioned that in the chat, Bekah. Gary the dog had a cameo in the casino scene.
He was like a little elephant thing, yeah. And there's a photo of it, and it's adorable. But no, it's very Gatsby, and it was nice because we've seen Coruscant, we've seen Naboo, we've seen Alderaan in pieces. Is it too soon? So, but like it was nice to see Candle White. But like you were saying, the war thing, because it does kind of go into DJ, where he's like, oh, who owns the ship, bad guy or good guy? Oh, turns out he sold to both. Like war, these people are profiting off war, but it's not just the bad guys; it's the good guys too. And okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, that brings us to DJ, the Master Codebreaker, who is not the Master Codebreaker, but he works as the Master Codebreaker in this movie, who I really liked in this movie. I thought that, he was, again, probably there was too much of him because there was probably too much of the casino planet, but I thought he did his role as the Lando of this movie really well. And he represented that other, like, because we saw like the rich people and the kids being like trampled on and losing out, but you also saw this kind of criminal underworld that succeeds from the moral ambiguity of war, which comes through him, which I thought was another important theme.
I also like that he.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Randomly, I like to categorize people on D&D scales, and I'm going to say he's like true neutral or possibly chaotic neutral. But anyway, that's
neutral.
Chaotic neutral, yeah.
I just randomly like to categorize people. Go on.
No. I mean, I liked that he had like a tick or like a speech impediment. Like it was one of those things where like it takes getting used to, and I feel like some people probably wouldn't or didn't like it, but I thought it was. I mean, I don't know. He's a code breaker, and he's clearly very intelligent and everything. But he also, he honestly reminded me of an ex of mine. Like that sounds weird, but not a bad thing. Like he's super, super intelligent and kind of on the whether or not he's a good guy scale, but also has this kind of like speech impediment like
Are we
type
talking
thing.
about the same person? Am I thinking about the same person?
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah. We call him Landos, which is, because it's Benicio del Toro. So he's Lando, but Hispanic.
When he turned around, I gasped. I don't know if I just haven't been paying attention to the news, but I did not know Benicio del Toro was in this movie. Did I just miss like an announcement, or did they keep that under wraps?
No. He and Laura Dern were announced at the same time, but we never knew who he was going to be.
Yeah.
So we saw like there were pictures. There were pictures of Laura Dern as Vice Admiral Holdo with the purple hair and everything, but there was nothing about who he was.
I think but
it is really apparently Disney just really loves Benicio del Toro because I mean he's the collector in the Marvel films too.
He's good, man. Just put him in everything. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him.
Do we think he'll come back in the third one? Or did he just was that just his purpose? Was to?
I think it was a cameo. Honestly, I don't think he's gonna be
I think he might come back. I think there's like a 50-50 chance that he comes back.
Yeah,
or he doesn't.
That's what I'm going with. 50-50.
I mean, I think he's an interesting character, so I wouldn't mind if he came back because he, that moral ambiguity, that kind of the criminal aspect, always a fun character to play up against these like very very moral good and moral bad characters. This kind of in between character is always interesting. So yeah, I'd like to see him come back, but I also wouldn't mind if he didn't.
Yeah, same. So it's like 9:48. We usually run about 2 hours with these special episodes, so I'm not scared of that. But so we talked about all these new characters and stuff. Now ships. And like honestly, like I'm just gonna can we just lead with Storm Pilot versus Rose and Finn, please?
Okay, I gotta say here, I hate ship wars. So I am a Storm Pilot shipper, but I'm going to defend Rose to the death. Can we not have a fandom war between these ships, please?
Oh my god, the shippers in this fandom are the worst.
No, like I'm Storm Pilot to the death, but like Finn Rose shippers, I got your back. We're not enemies. Like we got you. Like it's fine. We're fine. We're good. But having said that, I do not ship it. That's fine though. And I adore Rose. But having said that, I'm seeing a lot of Storm Pilot shippers say that there was not a lot of Storm Pilot in this episode. And I disagree. I mean, there wasn't as much as The Force Awakens, but I think that there were a lot of moments to build off of. And so I don't know if I'm just projecting or if they were expecting it to like go canon or what. Like, did I have different expectations? Am I projecting?
I think that the ship wars that were happening before this movie came out were genuinely horrendous, and most of the people in this fandom who are shippers, and I am a shipper, I love shippers, but the Star Wars fandom and the shipping stuff is just generally toxic. I just noped out of there about 6 months.
Dude, I'm pretty sure every fandom, I don't think I know a fandom that
I know, but it was just like, it was particularly that kind of my ship is right mentality. That is, and everyone else's ship is like, wrong in all these ways. Like you are a monster for shipping it, or you are so wrong for shipping this. You're
going to hell.
Yeah. Or you're delusional for shipping this other thing, which I find just ridiculous because the concept of like you can only ship something because it's canon is just so foreign to me. Like growing up, obviously, without the interaction that we have with creators now it's just so bizarre. But I wasn't hugely fussed by Rose and Finn. I liked it on the ascended fangirl level that she's this girl that was like massively into Finn and then kind of got to hang out with him and got to make out with him. I like that kind of like superficial level is nice. I also like the idea that literally every person that meets Finn falls in love with him. I feel like I find that relatable. And
I'm with you. Like I'm not a Storm pilot shipper, but like honestly, I'd rather see that happen than Finn with Rose. And that's just because I like the representation behind it. But also like I just didn't. I like you said, she's like a fangirl in love with him, and I wasn't feeling that from him. And honestly, until she said what she said and kissed him, I wasn't feeling it from her either. So it was kind of like weird and awkward and surprising to me. And like my partner was kind of going on and on about like, oh, well, Finn like clearly was like into Rey when he first met her, and he was into Rey the entirety of Force Awakens. And I was like, what?
I mean, I
Did
think
we
that
watch
he's into
this?
Rey, so I
think that he like asked her if she had a boyfriend, and then immediately was like, and then soon after, do you ever? And I'm not saying he was friend zoned. I'm saying like he friend zoned himself. It's like when you spend enough time with somebody where you're like, yeah, I really care about this person, but I don't want to be with them. Like that's how I felt with him and Rey by the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Finn's relationships are because he grew up so starved for relationships.
Yes, exactly.
Like the way that Stormtroopers are raised, it's not conducive to friendship. And I think that it's like he's just so jazzed to meet people that like want to be his friend, that he's just that's how he is as a friend. Like I felt that way. I feel that way about him and Rey. I think he just is like, she was the first person. Well, I mean Poe. But like he and Poe met, and then they flew and they crashed, and then he spent the most amount of time with Rey, and so I think that was the friendship, because he's just like, oh my god, this is like my first real friend, like this is amazing. And then I feel that way about him and Rose too. Like I think he was more just like, this person's cool, I like to be her friend.
I'm like, I'm the dissenting voice in that I ship Finn and Rey. I like them as a couple, and I would love them to get together. I would 100% prefer them to Rose and Finn. But I liked Rose and Finn. I wouldn't mind it. But yeah,
I don't know. I see them as being kind of like these dynamic duos. Well, I guess a trio, because BB-8 kind of, like he kind of hangs out with them. That was my BB-8 noise. For some reason, I like the idea of Rey and Finn. That's cool. Like, there's this one part at the very end of The Last Jedi when, like, she was looking at him as he was, like, comforting. And I couldn't tell if it was kind of like or if it was just kind of like, hey, Finn is safe. This girl is safe. He cares about her. Like, and I don't really ship Rey with anybody, especially don't ship Rey and Kylo.
I ship it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, I don't know exactly how to feel about it, because like I'm kind of like, you know what? If they actually definitely are not siblings, I will be okay with this. But I don't know. Like I'm kind of like on the fence, because sometimes I'm like, bleh, and sometimes I'm like, me. But I'm not a Storm. What is it called? Storm pilot? Not necessarily a Storm pilot shipper. I don't know. I just think he deserved happiness. I just Finn as a dandelion, and I want to
Finn have like 2 girlfriends and a boyfriend, man.
Yes, let's do this. Let's Polly.
Just give him all the girlfriends and boyfriends, man. He deserves all of them.
What's it called? Well, Stormflower. Is that what the Rose and Finn ship is going to be?
Oh, that sounds cool.
Okay, Stormflower.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not very shippy with this whole thing. Like, I'm not super shippy. I mean, obviously Han and Leia.
Yeah.
But, like, everybody else, I'm kind of like waiting. I'm just kind of like,
it's like, I mean, I find like shipping is such a weird word. It's like used in different ways, and it's sort of like come to be used as I want this to become canon, which I don't necessarily use it that way, because I ship Kylo Ren and Rey in that I find their dynamic really interesting, but I also think that it's toxic, and I would never want them to actually be together. If that makes any sense.
Wait, you said Kylo and Rey?
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not a good relationship, and I don't want them to end up together, and I don't think Rey should be like the hero of that. But I like the idea of them. I would read fan fiction of them.
See, we all have very different ships and very different ideas. And so like I've said repeatedly, I'm all for everyone having their own ships. and we should all let each other be happy. My ideal is for Rey to not end up with anybody, and I'm sorry for people that have like an end game for her to either be with Kylo, which I also agree is not healthy, or Finn, which is fine, even though that bumps against my ship. That's cool. My end game for her is to be without a partner, and this is again me projecting, but I project like Ace Rey, and I project asexuality on a lot of characters, and that's totally a fault of mine.
I don't think it even has to be asexuality though. Like I see where you're coming from, but like I don't want her to end up with anybody either. Luke didn't. And I don't necessarily want that just because it's what happened in the original trilogy, but like I don't think it's necessary. Let me say I don't want her to end up with anybody we've seen so far. I see her as Finn as just friends, and I see her and Kylo as maybe enemies isn't even the right word anymore, but Kylo, ew. So she's better than that. Rey, girl.
They're gonna coexist in some capacity in the universe of Kylo.
That would be cool if for some crazy reason he like is not horrible at the end of the third movie and they coexist. That's fine. I just don't want them to be like.
I don't want them to be together.
I like the comment in our chat right now. No one is good enough for Rey. There you go.
Exactly.
Excuse me. I think Finn's freaking good enough for Rey. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think Finn is good enough for Rey, but I just don't think either one of them is feeling that as more than a friendship. Like, and I think that Star Wars needs more relationships, like more like male female relationships that are just friendships. Like Luke and Leia ended up being sisters, and Leia and Han ended up together, and so we literally have no male female friendship from the original trilogy. And like I guess maybe you can count like Padme and Obi-Wan, but I don't think so. I think Obi-Wan resented Padme and maybe vice versa, because like the Jedi Order is what kept her from like being with Anakin, like for real. But ignoring the prequels entirely, which we should probably just do at this point, I really would just prefer for there to be some just healthy male-female friendships in this series.
I agree. And I would be happy with Rey not ending up with anyone, but I would also be happy with her ending up with Finn. I would also be happy with anyone ending up with Finn, as long as he's happy. Like, honestly, I just want him to be happy.
I agree. And I think that's the thing that shippers need to acknowledge. As long as our faves are happy, we can be happy.
And as long as they do it well, give me. Yeah. I understand that most movies end with a kiss, right? So there will be a kiss with someone at the end of the next movie. But yeah, and I would like Finn to be the one that ends up with someone.
Personally, I don't know about y'all, but I ship BB-8 and that little black shit starter on the.
Excuse me,
BB-8.
That's
BB.
Oh yeah, they legitimately called him BB-8, BB-H8 in the pre-production.
Oh my god, like TR-8R.
Exactly. No, but this isn't. TR-8R is fanon. BB-8 is like what they called him when they were creating him.
And he's technically BB-9E, but right. BB-8 is sticking. I'm sorry, I'm not going to call him BB-9E. BB-8.
I like it, BB-8.
Dude, he was just like, what's going on here? What is that? That trash can sounds just like me. But meanwhile, BB-8 is under a trash can, and no one is questioning it, because that is what Imperial droids look like.
That's my cosplay for MegaCon. I'm just gonna put a trash can on my head and just like follow around behind like cosplayers of Rose and Finn.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess we've talked about the casino subplot, and so the Rotten Tomatoes score. We've kind of mentioned this, but it is kind of a big deal because the Last Jedi now officially has the lowest rating of any audience rating of any Star Wars movie, lower than Attack of the Clones.
That is bullshit.
So obviously something is happening here. What do we think is happening?
It is the salty tears of white boys. I'm sorry. Does anybody think it is something other than just fucking salty white? Okay, let me rephrase. I can get rid of white boy Star Wars fans because I have some friends who are people of color who aren't sure about it. No, we're still back on salty white boy tears
my
because
problem is, like, if you don't like the movie, that's fine. But the opinion of, like, every single man I know, and just random dudes on the internet, has been, your opinion about this movie is wrong, and you are wrong for liking it. Not.
Let's acknowledge a truth here. There is a large amount of white guys that are upset that all the main characters of the new Star Wars franchise are women and people of color. And they're going to, while there are legitimate criticisms, the casino scene dragged. I didn't really like that scene with Leia where she forced through space. There are issues, and we can talk about those issues and have a discussion. They're going to have these concentrated efforts to push the Rotten Tomatoes score down and make up crap because they don't like that the new characters are women and people of color. Let's just face that.
Oh, absolutely. Like the Resistance leaders, it is a group led mainly by women and people of color, and they are skating along on all those fanboy tears, like off to destroy a ginger and a whiny privileged white dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
it is there are white men in the Resistance, but none of them are in charge. Ha ha!
And none of them matter as characters. I mean, the last guy that did matter was Luke, and they were so mad because they turned him into someone who is not perfect.
Like,
and I am totally with that.
And they also shit out, like, everybody complains about Luke is so complaining, blah blah blah, man, Luke. Like, and then, like, whenever he actually is still a little bit whiny. And it's like, no, I don't want to deal with this shit. People are like, oh, they ruined his character. No, the fuck they didn't. He's been the same. Like, come on. Now he's just old and angry.
Yeah.
Let him die with his hippo frog nuns. Just let them live in peace with their porgs. And their weird, milky, orange, their green ass. That was that green milk shit. I was like, no, thank you.
That was blue milk, I'm pretty sure.
It was green. It was green. Nickelodeon slime green. I promise it was green. Green.
Gross.
Did anybody else think that was blue milk? Like, I got that was blue milk, and they were fan servicing. This is where blue milk is coming from.
It was green, wasn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest.
I don't remember.
I remember laughing a lot about it.
I'm telling you, it was bluish. It was bluish green, but it was blue milk. It was like Tatooine blue milk. I guess I could be wrong. It looked blue to me.
No, it
Whatever.
says here. No, it says Luke doesn't drink the famous blue milk in Last Jedi, but he does drink green milk.
Okay, but so I'm not the only one that thought it was.
Wait
blue.
a second.
Marmalade also thinks it was blue, and she hates you. Look at that.
Oh, wait a second.
She hates you.
Hold on. Wait a second. Okay, so sorry, y'all. I'm looking at here in the picture. It's green. Whenever he like, it's green in this picture, like from the original movie. It's green. I'm so confused. It looked whatever.
It looked blue to me. It doesn't matter. The next thing was porgs or salt foxes. Personally, salt foxes. I mean, but I also found this 3 porg moon shirt, and I love it.
The porgs.
We went to the mall today, and they had a suction cup porg that goes on the inside of your car window, and I bought it. It has a sticker that says porgs on board, and I bought it. It was like $15 at Hot Topic, and it suction comes to your window. And like, I figure it's gonna go really well because on the other window I have a sticker of Darth Vader walking in AT-AT. But also, I have a porg for the inside of my car window. I'm so excited. Stupidly excited.
I like the porgs better than I thought I would, because I figured that they were just there. I really like, and I mean, George Lucas doesn't have anything to do with these anymore, but I was worried they were going to remind me of the stupid prairie dogs from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because freaking like. But I liked them better than I thought I would, but I would still.
Oh no, exactly. Same. I was like, all this effing Porg merchandise was coming out, and I was like, months before the movie, Her Universe has like 6 Porg things on their website. I'm pretty sure now it's even more than that, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. This is gonna be like worse. Like Ewoks I can deal with, but this is just no. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's like fine.
So I have a fun anecdote about the Porgs. I read this article earlier today, and I didn't know this. Apparently it's somewhat common knowledge, but I just learned this today. The reason the Porgs came about was because the island they were filming on apparently was populated with puffins, and they were not legally allowed to like remove them because I don't know if they're endangered or like vulnerable, but they're basically like protected species.
Yeah, so, I think they're vulnerable. I don't think
vulnerable, not endangered. Yeah, different scales, but they couldn't move them. So their solution was to just get something that was a similar color and digitally put it over, and that's where Porgs came from. And that way, if they accidentally popped up in the background, it was a similar color and size, and therefore it wasn't a mistake.
That would be really awesome because I love puffins. So now I'm going to have to like go searching for that. I mean, and again, the crystal foxes are A+++++. I want 10,000 of them, but especially the one that led them out of the caverns. But yes, I want all those crystal foxes.
I mean, it's like, I recognize that Disney is just trying to sell me toys, but I also want to buy them all. Yes. This is the dilemma of capitalism, man. Like, I think it's bad, but I love stuff. Oh, the worst.
Dude, the Star Wars Galactic Nights last night, we bought so much shit that we did not need. I have a Dooney and Burke Star Wars purse now. Do I need a Dooney and Burke Star Wars purse? No, but it's gorgeous and I wanted it. Also, it was a Christmas present, so I feel not so bad about it. But yeah, other than Porgs versus salt boxes, Bekah disagrees and thinks she wants more of those dumb horse things.
No, shut up. Look, okay, they're called fathiers, okay, first of all. And I don't like them more than anything else. I like the salt boxes more. But just something about them was super familiar. I guess because they reminded me of, laugh if you want, I don't give a crap. But I love them because they remind me of my dog, Splendid. They with the big ears and the floppy, the big lovable. I don't know, just like something about them when they were being hurt. I was like, no.
Oh God, that was the worst. I mean, nobody wants to see an animal hurt, even a fake animal.
I mean, yeah, no, like I don't know. They were like, I like the crystal foxes. I'm excited for the salt foxes. I mean, I'm excited for some of the discussions I've had with my friends about them. I like the fathiers. I'm not going to say, like, and of course you should see our notes right now. Like, Tara's like, shut up, Bekah. And I'm like, no, you shut up, Tara. No, I like the fathiers. I do. The crystal fox, the porgs, I was like, they're cute. Like the hamster birds, they're okay. But I don't know. I like the fathiers. Do they make a really great cuddly plushie? Not really so much, because I just looked it up. They actually are selling them. Would I ever cuddle with that when I'm sleeping? Probably not. But I cuddle a crystal fox as long as it's not made out of crystal. I'd be okay.
I mean, but no, the thing is, they're called crystal foxes, but is anybody else having trouble calling them crystal foxes? Because I just want to call them salt foxes.
I call them salt foxes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, wait, the Vulptices. That's what they're called. The
Vulptex. They're a Vulptex. VULPTEX is their official name. Vulptex.
Okay,
it's like a Pokemon name. VULPTEX.
See, the thing is, Star Wars names things like all the time, and the common name is whatever everyone calls them. Like,
yeah.
And eventually, it sort of ends up being called that anyway because everyone just.
Example: BB-8.
Yeah,
definitely not BB-9A.
Also, I had something to say and I totally forgot what it was. I was gonna make some joke about. I don't remember. I'm tired.
been a long weekend.
Well, before, because I know we're almost done, and I had totally forgot to mention this anywhere else. While we're sort of on the topic of the island, there's something that I caught in The Force Awakens that I only caught because I had just seen The Last Jedi, because The Force Awakens was on Stars yesterday, and I watched it. But in The Last Jedi, Rey tells Luke that she'd been dreaming of the island all her life. And I was just like, that's a random thing to put in there. Like, was that mentioned before? And yes, it is, because when Rey is imprisoned on Starkiller Base and Kylo's like looking in her brain, he says something about an island. And that only stuck out to me because of the Last Jedi. So I just wanted to mention that somewhere.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, by the way, Tara, I looked it up. The green stuff is blue milk. They are banthas. You're right. Sorry.
Nice. All right. So the next two things kind of go together. Everyone died and the humor, okay? Because this is actually probably one of the darkest Star Wars movies, but it's also the funnest and funniest.
Yeah.
But it does those things really well. But yeah, that is the truth. So how do we feel about the humor and the tragedy of this movie?
I liked both. And I feel like it wouldn't have worked if it would have been extreme on both ends without it being extreme on both ends. Because Rogue One was extraordinarily dark without the humor, but I still liked Rogue One. It just was a very dark film. If this movie would have been pure comedy, it might have been too much, but it did have the darker elements to kind of balance it out. Light in the dark, hey, there's a theme there. But like, I think it was well balanced. And I enjoyed the humor. My manager disagrees. He's like, I don't watch Star Wars for the humor, and I'm just like, oh dear.
I've seen a lot of complaints about it, but I also and the humor on this, there was a lot of humor in this movie, and probably the most out of any Star Wars movie. But every single Star Wars movie has bad jokes.
Yes.
Every single one. It is one of the defining features of these movies. They have bad jokes in them. And everyone's suddenly decided with this movie that Star Wars was this super serious franchise. And I was like, what the hell are you guys watching?
Well, I mean, and listen, I get that people the Empire Strikes Back is absolutely the fan fave of every Star Wars movie ever, even including Force Awakens. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, and I know that I'm odd for that. I love Return of the Jedi. I think I like both I think I like Return of the Jedi because it was always my favorite, and then A New Hope on rewatches it more than Empire. But that's because I have enough fucking shit going on in my life that I don't need that depressing 2.5 hours. That doesn't mean Empire isn't a great Star Wars movie. It is. It's narratively probably the best. I will agree with that. But everybody's opinions are their own, and I get that part of the reason people are so kind of meh about this movie is that they expected an Empire and they didn't get it. But it really,
this movie is darker than Empire.
It is, but it's like you guys have said, it's balanced out by kind of the funny stuff. It's dark, but it's got so much lightheartedness to it that I think people are having a hard time, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying my belief is that people are having a hard time coming to terms with that. And I agree, I absolutely agree that it is darker than Empire. I just think that it has a better balance, and that's why I liked it so much. I said this in my review. We got to we were sitting in that theater for 2 hours, and I looked at my phone, not because I was bored, which is what I usually look at my phone for. But I wanted to check the time because I was like, we've been sitting here forever, and this has got to end soon, and I don't want it to end. And I just feel that's kind of not many people feel that way, maybe.
I thought there were about 4 places where it was going to end, and then it didn't.
But I like that.
Would have made good cliffhanger endings, and then I was like, oh, it's still going. Okay, we're still going. But as for the humor, I liked it too. There's been a lot of criticism that it's Marvel humor, and I don't know what about it specifically makes it Marvel humor, other than the fact that it's like sarcastic and like sassy. And I was like, that's just.
I mean, I think that maybe it's like a distinctly millennial humor in that, like, it's making fun of terrible things. Like, it's laughing in situations that maybe you probably shouldn't laugh in, but that's how we deal. Like, that's how people deal with bad situations. Like, yes, a whole bunch of people died, but that doesn't mean you should stop laughing. And when a whole bunch of people die, that's usually when people make a lot of jokes.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing with what they did by any means. I think that the reason people dislike it is because they're seeing it at like face value and not really considering like the themes and everything that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just people who they saw it and it wasn't what they expected, so they're fucking care mad, and it is what it is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I expect that from every kind of like franchise that is like this, that has a really strong attachment. People, when something is different, when they do something different, people react to that. They don't like it because it's change, and they don't, as much as people like to say, I want to see something new, they don't. They want to see the same thing again and again, like, because it's reassuring and, you know, it makes you feel good because you figured out what was going to happen, and, you know, people like the same. So this was always going to get a certain amount of negative reaction from fans because it's so different. But I also think that the negative reaction way outweighs that. So I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
I think it's funny that so many people hated on The Force Awakens because it was it was too much like A New Hope. And now people are hating on The Last Jedi because it's like not enough like The Empire Strikes Back. It's like, what do you want?
Their opinion.
I don't know.
In their opinion.
Yeah.
These are people who will never be satisfied. They will never be happy. And listen, like my thought is, if it is better than the prequels, then I'm fucking happy. So, like,
again, it's the people that went in there to find something to hate because of the cast being so diverse. They're like, well, The Force Awakens sucks because it was basically A New Hope. Well, Last Jedi sucks because it wasn't enough like Empire Strikes Back. They just want to hate it no matter what. So they're going to find something. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything.
It's just really like, I mean, because I just remember coming out of this movie and going, that was so much fun. And I was so happy. And I was just like, this is the most fun. And I was excited. And I'm like talking to my mom, who I saw it with, because she's like the reason I'm a Star Wars fan. And she, you know, we're just like, that was so good. Remember when this happened? Oh, how cool was it when that happened? And oh my God. And then, like, you know, I talked to some friends of mine and they're like, oh, I just thought it was really bad. And I'm like, and then they were like, here, let me list the reasons why it was bad, even after I was like, oh, well, I thought it was good, so maybe let's not. Let me tell you.
I was grinning coming out of it. Like, I ran into, like, because I went to work right after, and I ran into my boss's boss and, like, one of the supervisors of the other departments, and they were discussing it, and I was just, like, didn't even realize how much I was smiling, and they're like, she's smiling. Because the one guy, he was like, well, I don't know, I have to think about it. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to enjoy this conversation later.
That's when you scream, fuck your trees.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You'll lose your job.
Your old freaking texts don't matter anymore here.
You know, he's the one that told me this, like, Kylo Ren theory that I'm like, really, really?
What was the Kylo Ren theory?
Have you guys heard the theory that Han Solo turned on the lightsaber himself so that Kylo didn't have to stab him?
I have heard that, yes.
I don't think it's true.
Yeah, I hadn't, like, he told me that, and I was just like, and it just seems like, wow, you guys really, really, really want this guy to, like, not be as bad as he is? Can you just accept that he's a bad guy?
Yeah. Like, I don't have a problem with people liking villains as characters. Like, I mean, I love villains. Like, they're often my favorite characters. But the Star Wars fans can't seem to, like, accept the idea that you can like Kylo Ren as a villain. Like, you can like him being a bad guy, and you can enjoy him as a character without it being, like, without you being, no, but he's actually really good. He's secretly good. He's not secretly good, guys. He's a terrible person. He has.
Well, they tried to do that with, like, Anakin. They're like, Anakin was redeemed. It's like, yeah, but he let his enemy torture.
Like, I mean, yeah, he destroyed the Emperor, and, like, he wasn't totally bad, but he was still, like, evil for a really long time and killed a whole bunch of people. Yeah.
Yeah, he killed a bunch of children. Have we forgotten that about the children?
Yeah.
Remember why I don't like children being in Star Wars
Y'all,
movies?
the reason why I took. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, he just killed a lot of kids. I was going to say, like, how do you?
I know. He's making Horcruxes. Get with the picture. Come on.
But I think like we're so like because the prequels were so about like redeeming Anakin and try to make him like so like
so
less
that you
evil.
understood why he went. It's like I didn't. They did a terrible job of making me like believe his descent to the dark side. I'm like, he's just whiny, and like, I mean, I sort of got where they were trying to go. They just did a very bad job. Sorry, Hayden Christensen, but yeah.
So I know the last thing that we had to talk about was like our favorite quotes / moments from the movies. So movie.
Yeah, I kind of already said mine, but my favorite quote is definitely the "I'm holding for Hux" moment. I'll keep holding.
Oh.
I love Poe. I love that moment. I love the humor. Everything all wrapped up in one nice scene. A great start to the film.
Oh, my dad thinks
like
that cowboy. I love him so.
I like the whole thing how Leia's telling him like you can't just go in and blow stuff up, and then later like 5 minutes later he's like permission to go blow something up, and she's like yeah. That was my favorite.
She's like she knows when to blow stuff up and when not to. Like,
well, yeah, and that's the whole point of like her, you know, kind of being one of his teachers is that she knows what she's doing, and he kind of still doesn't.
I liked the Kylo Luke bit at the end when like Kylo's doing his "you're all defeated and you're all gonna lose" and you know the big villain speech and Luke's just like amazing. Every word you just said was wrong, and you're just like, yeah.
I have kind of two favorite. I have one favorite. I have two favorite parts and I have two favorite quotes. I think the one that I liked the most was when Rose says, "I wish I could put my fist through this lousy, beautiful town." And I really liked that one because it was very poignant and it was very like, yes, this place is beautiful, but it is just this facade of this mess that's going on. And then my other favorite one is when Yoda says, "We are what they grow beyond. That is the burden of all masters." And so I think that was really, I quite like that one. I'm not sure why it resonated so strongly with me, but because Luke was having a moment where he was really upset, and Yoda's like, "Yo, let me drop some wisdom on your ass," and he's like, "Boom." And then Luke is like, "Yeah." Yeah,
mine is like I already said mine earlier, even though I didn't like point it out as my favorite. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot that I loved, and many of those are actually included in what you guys said. But I just when Luke is holding Leia's hands and he says, you know, no one we love ever truly leaves us. Like it was just like, oh my God, stop it, Tara. Jesus Christ. It was so like emotional on so many levels that I was just like, personally, that one spoke to me. And I think that's why I liked it the most. So.
Do we also have favorite parts too? Like, did you have like specific favorite parts? Because I know mine was when the first time when Leia, sorry, y'all, my dog is sleeping, but her eyes are open. And it's like her eyes are rolled back in her head. Sorry for a moment. And she's wagging her tail. What the hell? But whenever it looks like you have to reach out, Rey is like, and then so he tickles her finger with a blade of grass, and she's like, "I'm doing." And he's like, "Fuck." And then also whenever Kylo slays Snoke, that was my moment. Like I was so pumped. Obviously, you know, he's a total shithead, but that was so great. Like them fighting the red guard and the red room of death, and
that was the best lightsaber fight that we've ever had.
Yeah, I actually, although I'm sure some people will come back and say that it wasn't as good as Darth Maul, because I literally had a friend say the only Star Wars movie worse than this is Attack of the Clones.
Oh, I would not be friends with that person.
Oh. I was like, just walk away, Sarah.
Just walk away. Just leave this. No.
Fine.
Yeah, my favorite part was when Poe and BB-8 are reunited and he like headbutts him, like does the head thing. And I was like, that is the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I love this man. I love this ridiculous man. I'm sorry, I love him so much.
Poe is such a Gryffindor and BB-8 is such a Hufflepuff, and the two of them are just like,
I mean, this is the
best
one
thing I've ever experienced.
The movies. Okay.
You've heard of a man and his dog. Get prepared for a man and his droid.
Exactly.
True love right there. Anyone else? Favorite parts?
It's hard.
Probably when Luke goes to like force projection. Luke goes to confront Kylo at the end. I just thought that was really great.
Yeah,
It was great.
They're filmed very well. That was a really great moment. Good send off.
I
Or
think
the
that
final the shot when he fades and his robes fall. That was also like sad, like rips my heart out, but it's just very beautifully shot.
You know,
I think that
didn't feel sad. Did anybody else not feel sad? Am I alone in that?
I didn't feel like he's gone forever.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he doesn't come back in the films, he's,
I felt
ghost
bittersweet. Like, I mean, I felt like Luke was done. So it didn't feel sad because it was like Luke's journey has finished and he's ready to go. You know, it's not like with Han Solo when he died and you're like, holy I was not prepared for him to die. I was like, I knew that Luke was going to die in this movie. Like,
I didn't, and I still wasn't
prepared.
So,
I wasn't like, I was like, okay, I was prepared for it to happen. But I mean, I felt sad in that I love Luke and I will miss him. But I didn't feel sad in that I thought that he shouldn't have died way.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Did we miss anybody? No?
On the same vein as what you're saying about the sadness, because Ray was like he wasn't. What did he say? He was at peace, or it was peaceful, or something. And I feel like that was kind of an accurate representation of.
I mean, he literally was at one with the Force.
Exactly. And he just kind of, he didn't die. He just kind of like
he let go,
faded in. Yeah,
yes,
he let go. There you go.
go.
Yeah. And it's also Obi-Wan that does that too.
Yeah.
He does.
In a way.
He activates the lightsaber and his robes fall. That's right. Yeah, his robes fall.
I think that it's, that was a really, I mean, I thought it was, poignant, not necessarily sad, but just emotions. I actually have a question that is really bad, but I'm going to say, if you could date one of the members of this absolutely gorgeous movie, who would you date?
Holdo. 10 times.
Hope.
Anyone else?
Probably so. Yeah.
Ho?
I'm really I'm struggling here. I would probably have to say either Finn or Ray. Look at Marmalade. Finn or Ray, probably. I feel like Ray would get on my nerves though, so I'd probably say Finn.
I would die. Like, I mean, I know he's dead, but like, I would want to go and live on an island with Cranky Luke. Like, that would be my dream.
I can picture that, honestly.
Yeah. We wouldn't talk to each other, but like we would be silent in our own contempt for the world. It'd be great.
And neither one of you would piss off the nuns.
Yeah,
neither one of you would piss off the nuns.
No, because we don't take up a lot of space, man. We don't require any like cleaning. We're cool. We're cool. Me and Luke living on our island, away from the problems of the world. It's grand.
I ship it.
Thank you.
We'll call it the Grumpy Aussie.
Yeah. I just like to call it like sad, lonely gays on an island.
Okay, sad, lonely gays on an island. I like this. Okay, we'll go with that one.
It's great.
Coming soon, 2020. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna be sidelined along with Golden Ghosts.
And it's just relatable because I too have a pile of books that I have not read.
All right.
So
yeah, same.
Okay. Is there any other thoughts? Any last feelings that you have about The Last Jedi?
I don't think so.
Anything that you're gonna just like? Oh, Bekah.
No, Bekah.
No.
Sorry, this is hard to do with a broken hand. Sorry. So I made a note here because like I was like I threw my coat over my shoulders while I was watching the movie today, and I was like making notes. Like I made a note about saying you don't leave Space Mom on red, like when like Finn flips up his thing. And then something about the Snoke stuff, but I could talk about this later. Also believe in Leia. Believe in Leia. Like I like that instead of I like that a lot. And then I just made a bunch of notes about Luke floating and Kylo is, and then Leia does a lot of introspection. And I'm done.
Bekah saying the thing about throwing her coat reminded me of just. I can't believe I forgot this until now, but when Rey hands Luke the lightsaber and he just throws it over his shoulder, that was like the most amazing thing ever.
That was the best. The best climax to something people have been talking about for 2 years.
He's just like looking at this thing. He's like a piece of junk. Damn kid, get off my island. Get off my lawn.
Actually, yeah, that is literal. Like Luke is me in Jedi form. Get off my lawn!
Yeah, same.
Just. All right.
All right. Well, we should like we've gone for 2.5 hours, so it's about time to
gosh.
end this. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm Von, and I'm here with Tara, and we've got our special guests, Angel, Jamie, and Bekah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Feelings with the Geekiary, and remember that we're a free webcast run of donations from viewers like you. So thank you for contributing and helping our host site, the Geekiary. We will be back next month in January to talk about stuff. And our regular schedule, and back again next year for like a Han Solo themed Star Wars Christmas special. So
we're also doing an end of the year special as well.
Oh yeah, end of year special.
An FU 2017 special.
When is that?
January 31st.
Actually,
we decided
January 31st, December 31st, December 31st.
December 31st. Oh,
December 31st. Okay, so guys, we'll be back.
No, I'm not. Like, no, it took me a second, and I was like, oh wait, no,
I didn't pick up on that.
It's literally New Year's Eve, and I'll be real, like, I agreed to do that when I was drunk, and then I looked back and was like, oh, I agreed to do a webcast at 8:00 on New Year's Eve. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't be going anywhere or do anything because I fucking hate going out on New Year's Eve. But it was kind of funny that I like forgot that I'd committed to it, and then look back, I was like, oh yeah, I've got that thing.
Well, okay, so guys, the next time you can see us would be on New Year's Eve, where you can say goodbye to this shitstorm of a year with us. And we will see you again next year, and hopefully it's better. I mean, I want to say it can't get worse, but I don't want to because it probably can. So,
yeah.
all right, bye everyone.